Coming up next on RacespotTV, the 3 Hours of Canada here for the DGFX Endurance Series on RacespotTV. This is the end of the season we've been waiting for, and it comes down to this race. Join us soon. Welcome here to the DGFX Endurance Series here on RacespotTV, of course powered by Sim Experience. Rachel Wyford and Alvin Nieves bringing you the action from the final round of the season. And Alvin, it comes down to this one for one class, the prototype field.
If you think about it, Rachel, you know, we've been through so many places. We started at Interlagos, then went through the Nordschleife, Suzuka, and then last round at Spa. This last round, 3 hours. Both of them tied in points. Fusion Racing, Simatalk Esport. Who's got it? That is the big question in here today.
It certainly is. Fusion Racing and Simatalk Esport. Things, of course, in the other classes are fairly quiet. We'll have a quick look at GT, of course, first up. As it stands, Black Arrow Motorsports there, 95 points. TNT Gold in second place with Hammerdown Racing GT3 in third. Tied for third with AOD Racing GT with 49 Motorsports and Graphite Racing, so that could be interesting to see what happens for second, third and fourth in that field. Very close for the third spot. We look at GTC next. German Sim Racing.de's 255 car there with 117 points, pretty much wrapped up. Sim RC Strawberry in second place with Blackadder in third. German Sim Racing's 256 in fourth and Road Bar Stewart's Blue in fifth. Looking up to your prototype field, Darwin, this is where it's really interesting. Fusion and Simatalk tied for first place on 101 points. This will be the fight we really pay attention to, but there's an outside chance for Samba Racing Team to come in with this one and make something happen here. This could be amazing.
It certainly is, Rachel. You know, when we think of how this championship has been going, not only in the prototype field but also in the GT class, there's still some chance there for TNT Racing Gold to win this championship. However, if they want to win this championship, they have to do the race of their life and hope that Black Arrow Motorsports runs into some trouble. But as things have looked so far, I don't think that will be the case there in the GTC class, though. SimRC, German Sim Racing.de, they got this championship wrapped up, so this should be just a race of going to the top 3. Just remembering, you get the top 3 in this series, you get an automatic entry onto the next season.
You're certainly doing that, something they'll all be aiming for. As qualifying is done, we'll go through your field. Pole position is your first in points car in prototype Fusion Racing with a 108.306. Berlin Sim Sport in second place with Simatalk Esports in third. VAPX Racing Group Purple in fourth. German Sim Racing.de in fifth. Talk Freak Sunset with German Sim Racing, WR Racing, Team Vikings Molnier, Samba Racing Team, Unicorn Endurance in 11th. 4X and NAB Racing round out your prototype field. Alvin, how's the GT looking?
In the GT field, we got in the pole position the 007 of TNT Racing Gold with a 118.055. Second place, Hammered Out Racing GT3 with a 118.238. Third place and the championship leader in the GT class, the Blackadder Motorsports number 66. Fourth place, we got the the Apex Racing Group GT Red. Fifth place, War Dogs GT. And sixth, the Team Vikings Mygar. Seventh place, the Roll Bastards White. 8th place, the 49 Motorsports Graphite Racing, and 9th place, and rounding out your top 10, the Blackadder Motorsports number 67. Rachel, what about the GTC class?
Absolutely. G Motorsports on pole with a fantastic lap from them. 1 minute 20.498. Simasi Strawberry, your second place runners in second place. Blackadder Motorsports 69 car, the points leaders in third. Fourth, Simasi Melon. With fifth place is Fusion Racing Black. Behind them, 6th place, Torque Freak Redilion. 7th, Fitzy Motorsports DGFX, Work in Progress Racing in 8th. 9th, Berlin Simsport 87, Road Bar Stewards Blue. Your top 10 with Bad Cactus Racing Blue and Work in Progress Blue, bringing up your field. Small grid tonight, Alvin, 41 cars. The finale is going to be absolutely magical. We could see a points change in your for third place in GT. There's 3 cars battling for that. This battle potentially could happen for first place in your GTC field, but it's the fight in Prototype which is going to really interest us tonight, as the pace car will get started soon. Fusion and Scimitar, but it could be opened up to the third contender because it is that close.
It is, Rachel, and when you think about it, it's only 7 points. It's separating the top 3 in here. Yes, Fusion Racing and Simatalk Esport, they are tied in points, but that doesn't mean Samba Racing can just sneak in and perhaps win this championship. And we also have to remember, with how these races have been going, and they are really unpredictable, and we have seen during the season, sometimes they have become about a battle of patience, but nowadays it seems like a battle of survival. And when you consider this track, oh god, we are going to have a great battle, especially on this track. Multi-class racing, this is kind of like running at Bristol.
It certainly is, and well, we're going to have a fantastic event tonight, folks. Please be ready, please be comfortable, have some drinks, some snacks, whatever you want for this one tonight, because we're going to have 3 hours of fantastic racing around this historic circuit from Canada. The field will pull away for its pace lap, and honestly, Alvin, this circuit is a fantastic home for motorsports. It's a great winding, twisting technical track with high-speed sections, but it's also narrow, and there is next to no gravel traps here. There's no concrete runoff. Well, there is in the current version, but this version there is not. This place is tough for multi-class racing.
It is, Rachel, and when you think about it, this track is really fast. They really have fast flowing turns right up to the point where you get to Mosport. I think this is the slower point on the track, and a really tricky double apex corner that will set you for the Andretti straight. And you really have to be on your toes on this track, because like you just mentioned, there's really no runoff areas, and especially going into turn 2 Clayton corner, if you make a mistake going in there, I'm pretty sure many of the teams here will get caught off guard going into turn number 2, and well, it kind of looks like that may be like the graveyard corner in this track.
It's always the graveyard corner at Mosport, so we'll see as the field heads down now. After turn 3, heading down towards turn 4 and down to turn 5. Moss corner, 5A and B here, which is a very tricky double apex right. It actually climbs uphill. It doesn't look like it, but it's a climb back uphill before dropping back down again. Quite the roller coaster of a corner. As your field will head through onto the Andretti straight here, the backstretch. Exit from 5B there, the tighter part of that corner. So vital for a great run uphill here towards turn 8 at the top. The 8, 9, 10, 11 section to end the lap. Well, Alvin, the racing about to get going. Who's your pick?
Well, Rachel, I said that we have been talking about this since pretty much yesterday, before we got into this race. This battle in prototype class, it's gonna be fantastic. Top 3, Fusion Racing, Simatalk Esport, Samba, they still got a shot into this, but they do have to do the race of their lives and hope that Fusion Racing and Simatalk Esport perhaps run into some trouble if they want to win this championship. But judging by how things are going, I gotta put my money on Fusion Racing.
Well, that's the call we're going for at this point in time. It's a great decision from you. I think the underdog might be something here, as the pace car will pull to pit road, and we get ready to go green flag racing here at Mosport. The final round of the DGFX Endurance Championship is green. Prototype field heading across the start-finish line with a great start here by your field into turn 1. Single file pretty much immediately as your GT field comes through the final corner. With TNT Gold from the pole position will take the run as they also single file out, with the G Motorsports now leading them through turn 8. Huge gap there actually between the prototypes and the GTC cars. It's going to be lapping very, very quickly here, Alvin.
Yeah,
not even through turn 9.
Yeah, and we got trouble here going into turn number 2, German Sim Racing number 152. I talk about a Clayton corner. Some we're gonna get caught off guard, and well, we got our first victim.
We do, and they're in the midst of the GT traffic there. That'll be a fun one for them as the G Motorsports leads the GTC cars into that first corner. And the action is forwards now as they get themselves sorted. The two Sim RC cars next to each other in 3rd and 4th place. Talk Freak with Leon behind them. Ahead of those two, a G, and I believe there's Blackadder car in there as well. So Blackadder, the 69 car, made a big jump. We'll look back at your prototype cars as they come to complete lap number 1 here. It's Fusion, and it is Berlin Simsport with Simatok in 3rd. No change at the front. Your field moving forwards. Actually, Samba moving forwards already, up 2 spots past Forex and Vikings. Down to your GT cars there, Alpha. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm trying to follow up on the number 152. He's coming into the pit, so I guess I got some significant damage here to repair. You know, kind of an unfortunate start here, especially for a 3-hour race finale that we have here. But you know, good that it happened now. Get it repaired.
Oh, problems, Alvin. Your leader, Fusion, racing with a huge error into Moss corner. We'll get you a replay of what just happened, but Fusion Racing went in hot. And it's so easy to do in this corner. They pushed wide onto the gravel. They held it out to the wall, but they lost 2, 3, 4 spots there. And this drops them right down the running order. Alvin, you know how easy it is to push wide in the carrying momentum into 5. The pressure of leading the points and the race got to Fusion Racing and Paul Searing.
It's certainly that, Rachel. You know, that corner going into Moss corner, I think that will be one of the most difficult places here on this track, apart from turn to Clayton corner. And right there, it's very easy to kind of misjudge where you start braking and also your turn in. And when you consider these HPDs, they kind of tend to bottom out, especially there. Really difficult, but you know what? You're going to have to deal with that for 3 hours.
Yeah, indeed. You saw a replay, of course, the 152's incident at the start of the race. But of course, you saw the incident, what happened, of course, just now with Fusion. Berlin Simsport leading the way now with Simatok Esports in 2nd. If the race finishes as it does, Alvin, Simatok Esport will take the championship, and that is huge for them. They know they need a safe race, but look who's behind them. Fusion recovering already up to the 3rd spot, and we're already catching the GTC cars. They started so far back. Now they're about to get eaten up, and the traffic ahead of this lone few stragglers at the back is very dense. There are a lot of GTC cars up there who are all going to have to be worked past by your leaders.
It is, Rachel, and you know, from all the tracks that we have raced this season, I said that this was going to be the toughest when it comes to multi-class. This is the shortest track that we have in the season, also the shortest lap if you kind of think about it. So you put all these cars, 41 cars today, into this track, multi-class racing. We knew that by lap 2 or 3, now we are into lap number 4, these HPDs were going to catch the GTC class, and now we're going to see the through introduction of multi-class racing here at Mosport.
We certainly are, and the GT cars are racing themselves, or GTC cars are racing each other pretty hard there. Oh, car spun! It's one of the Sim RC machines. I believe it is Mellon. It was Mellon. Lost the back end in turn 3. Oh, they pushed wide on the exit. Got a wheel on the grass, and round you go. Another common place for an incident here on the track, but they spin themselves clear. As the replay shows you there, they spin themselves clear of the track and wait for traffic before re-entering. We expect, and they'll get themselves going once again. A lot of positions lost, but safely executed there, Alvin.
Yeah, that's Rachel, and you know, that turn number 3 correct corner, it's kind of deceiving in a way because you want to carry as much speed as you can, but as you start exiting, it kind of start getting a little bit up and down, and you kind of get off camber, so it can get really tricky.
certainly can get tricky. Your leaders are working their way through lots of GTC traffic. In fact, the leaders now for your GTC field coming up just ahead of them as they weave through the traffic. Berlin Simsport LMP piloted at the moment by Tobias Schultz, doing his best to keep ahead of the traffic. Civic Esports and Julien Roublier in second place, with Paul Seri in the third place for Fusion Racing. The Apex Racing Group Purple in fourth place with Germain Alfador. German Sim Racing with Gerrit Winter also coming up in fifth place as they filter through the traffic as well. Oh, yeah, whoa, Berlin went wide. Sorry, Berlin ran wide. This was, I believe, in turn number, yes, it was turn 4 again, 3 even. Yeah, they got on the grass, but they slowed it down, didn't spin the car, but they lost the lead there to Simitok, and Fusion got through also. The hairy moment, especially in traffic there, Alvin.
Yeah, it is, and you know, this is what we're going to expect all day here. This all started in lap 4, prototypes catching traffic, and you know, this is going to be a thing that's going to go all day. And speaking about traffic, I'm going to be following Samba Racing just for a bit, and you know, they have been using traffic to their advantage fantastically. They've been able so far to get into 6th place, and even it was great watching them how to use slow traffic to kind of pinch Torque Freak Racing Sunset to make sure that they can complete that pass going into Clayton Corner. And you know what? They've been doing a fantastic job, and this is the type of pace that they have to keep up if they want to win this championship here today.
Certainly do. The action building up on track already at this point as things definitely getting to the exciting level. We knew Mosport would be pretty interesting stuff from the get-go, Alvin. This one has not disappointed. We'll look at our GT cars. Big gap for TNT Gold. 3 seconds to hammer down Racing back in third. In fact, from second, third, fourth, fifth down, it is very, very close there. TNT Gold with Hugo Preto just pulling away by a mile right now over their competitors. They're already in turn 1 as the leaders just second, third, fourth cross the line. And that is, of course, Hammer Down Racing and Road Bar Stewards White, Blackadder Motorsport 66, V Apex Red. All of them nose to tail there.
It certainly is, Rachel, and you know, this is for the GT class. I think perhaps you can say that the dominant car this season has been the 007. It's just that they have run through so much bad luck at certain points during some other races that perhaps the results are not there. When it comes to the championship lead here, Blackadder Motorsports, yes, they only need to finish in P14 and they will clinch the championship. The way they are running now, P4, you know, they got no pressure. They don't have to win this race. They just gotta make sure that they are here. As soon as they keep the car clean, it should be good, clean sailing all the way to the finish.
Certainly should be for them as the race will continue here, of course. No caution flags yet. German Sim Racing 152, they're down a lap already. Scored last in the prototype field. And look at some of your back runners in prototype. We've got Vikings Molnier on pit road. That's interesting for them. We're not sure why they came in here, of course, but Martin Tellegaard was behind the wheel of that car. We'll find out why they pitted in just a second. I'm not sure what happened for them, but they dove into pit lane there. They drove in, so under their own power. I'm not sure if we actually have a replay of what happened there. We'll get back to that later, of course. But looking at the rest of the action on track, Torque Freak, there is Nab actually catching Torque Freak 4X right now, and WR Racing just ahead of them towards the very point of your field. There are more traffic now, GT3 traffic for your leaders. Simitok leads the way, slicing through the back of the GT field here, Alvin. Doing a fairly reasonable job. It's all passing German Sim Racing and WR Racing there. Actually pulling the gap over the second place Fusion and third place Berlin Simsport. Traffic management certainly in favour for Julien Roublier.
It certainly is, Rachel. That once they went through that GTC traffic, perhaps I will say that will be kind of like the hardest because they are the slowest, but also these GTC cars, they need all the track because they really don't have the downforce that the GT cars have. So perhaps with the GT they can play a little bit nicer. Now, talking about the Team Vikings Molnier car.
Oh, mistake. Sorry. Just going to quick look back. Actually, your second place GT field was Hammer Down Racing GT3, but they just made an error coming out of turn 10, the final corner. Ran wide on the curbs and through goes at least two. Yeah, well, no, for now it just goes Blackadder 66 car gets through. Behind them, VFX Red and War Dogs will have to hold position, but they nearly made a move through there. Big mistake there made by the hammer down Audi. But the car is still in one piece, they're still collecting it, they can make up for this mistake, but the action here really boiling up as TNT Gold absolutely plowing away. 5 seconds gap now. Hugo Preto down at turn 5, second place, they're only at turn 4. Gap is just widening ever more here.
It really does look like that, and you know, we have been talking about the multi-class interaction here and the patience, but I think this is gonna be today more about survival and trying to keep your head straight down here, trying to be as concentrated as possible. And the point that I was trying to make after we saw the Hammer Dart Racing being in an incident when coming down in one piece, unfortunately that wasn't the case for the Team Vikings Mornier number 73 HPDS. Coming out of turn number 2, they catch the outside curb and, well, they hit the wall. So that's why they are into the pits and looks like they're going to be in here for a while.
That would certainly do it as they're under repair already for Team Vikings Mornier. A quick look at where they were in the actual points right now, because that will be an interesting one to really take a look at. If I have a look at the prototype points, Team Vikings Mornier were in 4th. That could really hurt them. German Sim Races 151 and Torque Freak could pass them in points here, so they have to get that car back out on track and compete. They were in a solid 4th.
They are, Rachel, but you know, as tight as the championship standings are here in the HPD class, it may be kind of like almost game over for them in terms of trying to get to that top 3 in the championship standings. And judging by how things have been going in this prototype class with Sematok Esports, Fusion Racing, and Samba Racing, you know, it's gonna be really difficult to kind of get some points and trying to get into that top 3. But you know, in the spirit of endurance, just get out there and do the best you can.
Certainly is as well. We'll have a quick look here towards the front. Sematok Esports still leading the way as we are 15 minutes into our first hour of this 3-hour endurance race. And the gap widening now, 3 seconds to Berlin Simsport, who are dealing with GT3 traffic. Getting past Hugo Preto's TNT Racing Gold car. Certainly the early traffic and early incidents have been in favour of Sematok. They've managed the traffic a lot better than the others, Alvin, in this one, so it's really been to their advantage. But of course, GTC cars now blending into the middle again. The back of your GTC field will have to be dealt with. But the traffic, this is going to, once we get really kind of mixed up here, of course, this will make things very difficult because we'll have GTC cars. Oh, as a car goes off there from your GT field, going to try and work out who that one was for you there. Someone took a little trick, and that's Team Vikings Midgard. More trouble for the Vikings there in turn 2, and they got the barriers. They couldn't turn in time. Oh, the Vikings saw a prototype coming up behind them, got distracted, got on the grass, and went into the inside tyres. Oh, big hit for the Vikings. As replay up on your screens, Team Vikings Midgard slamming side-on into that tyre barrier there on the outside of 2. It's a destination we see a lot of cars buried in, Alvin, and well, the Vikings are not really having their day.
They certainly, this really doesn't look like it's a day for Team Vikings overall. You know, both cars already into trouble, turn number 2. But this is what we talk about this race. You know, when we've gone through the first 4 races, you know, we went through Interlagos, Nordschleife, Suzuka, and Spa, and we said that patience was gonna be the key part on those races. On this one, it's all about survival because there's really no much room for error except for the Nordschleife, of course. But on this track, given that it's so fast, the slightest mistake that you make, you really have no chance to ever recover and try to avoid hitting the wall. We saw SimRC.de spawn and not get to hit the wall, but I think that's more of the exception rather than the norm. So really have to be on your toes, especially when dealing with traffic.
Certainly do, and I'm surprised really that we haven't seen any real incidents so far. We've had a couple of single car problems in this race, but never really any major crashes. It's a gap now 3.6 seconds for Sematok Esports to Berlin Simsport LMP. No major crashes, no cautions yet. Which, if any, all the tracks we've come to this season, Alvin, I think this is the one where I expected them the most.
And I did as well, Rachel. So it's actually a good thing that we have been almost 50 minutes into this racing, and you know what? No yellow flags. It seems like traffic interaction so far has been going really good, but I can assure you, Rachel, once we get into that 1 hour to go, and especially in the prototype class, if Fusion Racing, Samba, and Simatok Esports are really close to each other, I'm pretty sure we will see very close racing and may see some aggressive moves here and there in order to kind of win this championship.
Absolutely. Race Control actually sending a message out there of 3 wide is not smart and could result in contact. I think that's probably the most obvious statement I've ever heard from Mosport, where 3 wide is basically going to end in tears. Oh, nearly a huge move there on what was your GT leader. That was very risky. That was Nab Racing going into turn 2 there. Nab Racing with a huge dive bomb up the inside of Hugo Preto's TNT Gold car, forcing him to take a wide line and nearly running off turn 2 like the Vikings car did the lap before. That has got to be a warning from Race Control at the very least.
And you know, Rachel, this is something that we're gonna see all day, especially from this prototype class. The speed that they can carry through these corners, it's so high that sometimes, you know, you can just go flat out through pretty much all this track, except for turn number 2, turn 3, you know. But you can pretty much go flat out on this track if you're on an HPD, and sometimes you also have to respect your lower classes as well, because you know it's not like they have the same capabilities. Yes, the GT3, you know, the GT class, they do have some downforce in comparison to the GTC, but not on the same level on the prototype. So you know they really have to take it. As I see here, I'm seeing that number 59 also running into trouble again. So gotta have a look at here exactly what happened, and was coming into turn number 4, and it looks like going through traffic. May have gotten a little bit too wide, a little bit of a tank slapper into the wall. So Rachel, here we go. Big championship implications in your prototype class right there.
Certainly are problems there for the 59 car, as they'll have to get that one sorted out. But I'll have a quick look at your progress so far. Leaders breaking away in all 3 classes so far. TNT Gold, Simatok Esports, and the 69 car from Blackadder Motorsports. G Motorsports, your pole sitters aren't too far away, but they are far enough back here, Alvin, that our 3 class leaders are in their own game. Simasi Strawberry holding behind them in 2nd place. This will be important for them to catch up, but the traffic blending in again. Lots of prototypes filtering through. Everyone has to learn a lot of respect at a track like this, especially when you're racing people in other cars racing each other as well. So we end up with these great big clusters of traffic all around as people try to find ways through, as G Motorsports there nearly making a hole in the back of a prototype, which is the first time I've seen it go that way around.
Yeah, it is, and you know, as a result of that incident that we saw the number 59 getting in, well, fortunately into the pit. So I think this may be the end of the championship for the number 59 here. But you know, going back to all your class leaders, you know, on a track like this is what you want. You know, you want to have a nice lead, a nice cushion right in between you and 2nd place. That way you can do your own race, manage traffic your own way. Don't have to put pressure on yourself, you know, like, okay, I gotta get as soon as possible here. I gotta overtake these cars because the car behind me it's catching up. So you know, the fact that they got these big gaps in here, it's really helping them to kind of manage their own race and perhaps be a little bit more patient going through traffic as well.
Certainly is going to be that way around, we think, and we'll have to see if they can actually get this one sorted and try and get themselves some patience, which is always a useful measure for endurance racing. Alvin, of course, this series is powered by Sim Experience. That's Sim Experience without the E.com, of course. And, oh, what do they supply? They have the AccuForce steering system with unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Pro steering system is the only complete plug-and-play direct drive force feedback wheel for sim racers. Check them out at simexperience.com. That's simexperience.com. As we look at the GT lead right now, Hugo Preto there. I'm sure he'd love to have an AccuForce wheel right now as he's being caught by road bar stewards White, who in the traffic has managed to gain some time. and he'll be coming forwards as quickly as he can. Mercedes catching the Audi. Mercedes has the long legs on the big straights here, of course. Alvin should be able to catch him up soon.
It's certainly good, and you know, I think from all the tracks that we had gone throughout this season, I think this is the track that it really does really highlight the strengths and weaknesses of every single car in the GT class. You know, you got the BMW that I think the BMW, this track will benefit them the most given how the fast sweeping corners that we have throughout this track. Yes, the Andretti straight will not benefit them, but apart from that, the whole track should really be a godsend for them. Audi pretty much balanced all over the place, so for them it's really no problem. And then you have the Mercedes. Perhaps you have to be a little bit more patient going into the fast corners, but man, I gotta tell you, once they get into that Andretti straight, you really gotta watch out.
You certainly do have to watch out, of course. It's very easy to push wide and find yourself in some trouble. So always want to keep an eye on. You do not want to get yourself overextended at a circuit like Mosport, of course. As, oh, nearly contact there, heading into Moss corner. That was the TNT Gold car, and the road past Stewart's white as they'd got past a GTC car. And there was very nearly contact with that Mercedes, sniffing the hindquarters of the Audi R8 of Hugo Prieto. A big long snout, and the Mercedes was searching Hugo. Not Hugo, you're Alvin. Hugo's in the booth, and that car. Different Hugo there.
Yeah, different Hugos, absolutely. You know, a fantastic job that Hugo Luis always does behind the cameras. But you know, we've been talking about the leads and on every single class, but the job that Jean-Philippe Ward has been able to do in these couple of laps, and being able to catch up the 007, this really does highlight, you know, how you can use traffic to your favor, and perhaps, you know, trying to model your race just a little bit based on what on the things that are going on the track. And as pretty much we are 22 minutes into this race, Rachel, I think we're kind of halfway there. We kind of start talking about that strategy for the first pit stop.
Certainly is, of course. If you can make over the hour mark at a track like this, you are in a good position. With this being quite a stop-start track in terms of corners, though we do have a long backstretch, there could be a chance some cars might make it to the hour. If they do, it's 2 stops. If not, you're looking at 3. So those teams will be looking at maximising the time they can in terms of actually a fuel run here, and seeing what they can achieve with that. And that's going to be a very tricky situation for them, of course, as these cars want to try and achieve something. I mean, all of them limited to about 75%, I believe, especially for the GT field. They're not making the hour. So we're looking at a guaranteed 3 stops for your GT cars out there.
Yeah, it is, and you know, this is one of the distinctive things that we have in this. You know, we pretty much have what is the GT and the GCC cars. Their fuel tanks are truncated, so that they really have to think about strategy and that 3-stopper. HPDs, we all know that they will not make it into the hour, especially on a track like this, which is pretty much all the time flat out. There's really no chance for them to save fuel.
Let's have a quick look at what we're seeing on screen now, and that is Work in Progress Blue, currently racing with the 77 behind them of Fitzy Motorsports, as they're being swamped, shall we say, by a lot of GT3 or GT and prototype traffic. So they're trying to have their own fight, but at the same time having to yield to the faster cars, all streaming past them, an intimidating position to be in, Alvin, as more of those cars will try and find their way through, going around the outside, the inside, duking, diving. A very busy racetrack right now.
Yeah, indeed, inside, outside, excuse me, coming through. That's pretty much the motto here for the prototypes and the GT cars. But I have to say, you know, this is the type of interaction that I really like to see, you know, these far slower cars, and also how the drivers try to communicate with each other without actually saying a word, because, well, as you know, you are pretty much inside the car, and there's really no much communication rather than pretty much you and your team manager, and, you know, trying to have that communication, and it's pretty much the only 2 things that you have are pretty much the brake pedal and your headlights. That's it.
That's certainly the case in this position, as they're doing their best to try and get involved in this fight. There's another one of the work-in-progress cars, the Red Machine, working their way up behind the Fitzy Motorsports car, so it's a bit of a work-in-progress sandwich. We might see some results then with this much work-in-progress. Oh, we have a driver warning for the 59 car. Aggressive driving And that's a drive-through for the 59. No, it's been assigned to the 58 car. That's unusual. Okay, so it's a warning, right, for the 59 car. 58 gets the penalty, so Fusion Racing in your prototype field with a warning, and Fusion Racing Black with a penalty. So their GTC entry there having a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. So on top of the damage they're sporting, that's going to be a real boon to their race.
Yeah, it is, and you know, on a race like this, you know, the last thing you want is to get involved in any type of incidents when you consider that this track is so short that the slightest thing that you get into, you come into the pits and pretty much it's guaranteed that you will be one lap down.
Certainly is a guarantee at this stage, and not one you would like to have to carry. As look at the GT lead, TNT Gold and Road Bar Stewards White duking it out once again. Hugo Breto's once lengthy gap has been eaten away completely here as we head through this stint. 30 minutes in. 1/6 race distance completed. As more traffic will get past, that's Samba Racing getting through. Stuck behind the Rodillion Torque Freak Racing entry. He tries to find a way, just can't find an opening. And everybody bunching up here behind that Samba, the Torque Freak car there, Alvin, creating quite the colourful traffic jam.
Yeah, it is, especially in coming here into Mosport. And I'm pretty sure that from that GTC, the 2 HPDs and the 2 GT cars here, this is starting to get really tight in here. But you know, you got the 007 and the number 992 really fighting for the lead in here. I know that the faster cars really want to go by them, but you know, they also have to respect that these two, they fighting for this GT lead, and they really don't want to lift any single inch to the other.
Oh,
we have a little bit of contact there, and the Road Bastards go into the lead, and more contact there, and the V-Apex Racing goes into the wall as well.
Oh, they do indeed. We're going to replay what happened there, but there was some nudging and some door opening happened as Road Bar Stewards may have to give that position back there as Rodillion made contact with the WR prototype. Not a good time, Alvin.
Yeah, there's a little bit more contact there coming into turn number 2 between the Road Bastards and the Torque Freak Racing very young, and oh no, this is I'm pretty sure that we're gonna have a look here from race control because things are starting to get a little bit scrappy in here as well.
That was a big problem there we saw, and that's one we'll have to try and analyze. But well, the problem started earlier on and it carried on there as the prototype tried to get through there, Alvin. Torque Freak Rodillion drifted out to try and give them room and made contact there with Road Bar Stewards. They spin round. Prato managed to just avoid that one rather luckily, so he'll lose the lead to, I believe, the BMW there. I also noticed a Mercedes of V-Apex Red, but they're directly back under attack by Hugo Prato there. This one has been very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is, and you know that these two are really starting to battle really hard. You know, they are starting to really go back and forth, especially in this lap. Hugo Prato has been having a couple of looks here and there, some contact here and there. They have managed to keep it work, but you know, on a race like this, being 3 hours, I don't think they can keep that pace going at this point. You know, they really have to settle down just a little bit. Perhaps leave it down for the last 45 minutes because, well, 3 hours, and the last thing you want to do is gonna get the car out of the race.
Absolutely, you do not want the car out of the race this early on, and a lot of cars appear to be trying, Alvin, as this traffic becoming very problematic now, as we have GTC, GT and Prototype all blended together here. It was going to happen eventually, and it has happened here as, well, down the running order, Fusion Racing's dropped to the back. They're down a lap. Not good for Fusion Racing. And they are now completely looking like this could be a championship throwing away moment for them, as they're trying to get through heavy traffic here. Looking a little bit further forwards. GT Field having some fun. Everything's fairly patient, but the front there, Road Bar Stewards White, TNT Gold and V-Apex Red, they've pulled a huge gap.
It is, Rachel, and this battle here in GT really starting to, you know, there's a little bit of a gap here and there, so you know this is starting to get really interesting here in the GT class, as we got a Hugo Preto in the number 007 TNT Racing Gold trying to give chase to Jean-Philippe White in the Roadmasters White number 992 coming here into Clayton corner. It kind of looks like they're really not gonna have any issues with traffic anymore. It kind of looks like a clean racetrack for both of them as they keep going through here, going into turn number 3 Quebec corner, getting a little bit of acceleration here. Turn number 4, let's see if they lift. No, it kind of seems like they can take it a little bit of all full throttle. The really heavy corner here, heavy braking here coming into Moss corner. Really have to be careful how you get that turn in because it's really easy to lose it as you go here into the Andres straight. This is the part that the Mercedes AMG is really gonna shine at. This is the longest part of this track, the longest straight. I think this is the part that the Mercedes really has the advantage over the Audi, but Audi not really that far behind from the number 992. Let's see what they can do coming into this last section of the track, the S's. They're really fast flowing, but as you get through each S, it's get a little bit slower. You get here into turn number 9 a little bit slower, and then the final turn number 10, a lot slower than the other two going into White's corner. Coming back into the start-finish straight, starting another lap into turn number 1, a really fun turn here. You can really kind of get the car settled down. You can go for it, but you gotta be careful if you kind of run wide just a little bit.
Certainly is, Alvin. Of course, a beautifully flowing racetrack here at Mosport, or Mosport, I should say, as it's Canadian Time Motorsports Park, so it's Mosport, really. I need to remember that pronunciation. Canadians get very angry at me when I make that mistake, as this track has a beautiful flow to it. Hosted the Canadian Grand Prix, of course, once in the 1960s, Alvin. This track really has this dynamic flow. It's a roller coaster to ride for these drivers.
It is absolutely a fun track, like you just mentioned, Rachel. You know, it really flows very well throughout the whole track. No questions asked. Yeah, the flow is a little bit broken down once you come into Mosport, but I think that's part of the character that this track has. You know, like you can just go in there flowing, but you know there's going to be a point that, well, you're gonna have to do something uncharacteristic of this track. But apart from that, really fun track, just like you just mentioned.
Certainly is. Turn 5, if you will, it's the zenith of an arc as the swing will kind of rise up and you pause for a moment before dropping back down again. So Moss, it's a bit of a breather, even if it is a tricky one. As we look at the 77 cars, Fitzy Motorsports, of course, with the work in progress Blue Machine, who's managed to break the gap ahead. In fact, Fitzy Motorsports with problems. We'll have a quick look back at what that was. And oh, Fitzy spun out going through 5B, and it was a helping hand from the WR Racing Mercedes. The GT class tapping the back bumper of that Porsche, Alvin, spinning them around.
Yep.
Oh, some light contact with the wall. They're into the pits.
Yep, and give the assistance to the number 918. Kind of, you know, that part really is really tight if you really think about it. There's really not much downforce, and you're also trying, no matter if you're in the prototype GT or GTC class, you're trying to set up that 5B to try to get a best exit as possible, because once you come into the Andres straight, you really want to carry that speed.
Do indeed, of course. Looking at new penalties coming in, drive-through penalties for the for the 158 car for causing a collision. There'll be a couple more penalties, I think, coming up very soon. But that's the Samba Racing Team prototype getting a penalty there. They'll have to come down pit road. And of course, time on pit road here, Alvin, is very important because this isn't a very long lap.
Yeah, it is. It is not really a long lap, but fortunately, it's only a drive-through penalty. But still, the last thing you want is to lose any sort of time, no matter how fast, no matter how slow, no matter how big, no matter how small the track is. The last thing you want to do is get involved in any sort of penalty. And if we think about it, Samba Racing, we were just mentioning, they were one of the title contenders here in the prototype class. And this is another huge blow for those championship hopes.
Certainly is, of course. And Samba were looking at second place in the points with Fusion Racing's problems. And theoretically, if something happened to Simitok, Samba Racing could take the championship in this one, so they're still a contender here. And it's looking like they will have second secured regarding the fate of Fusion with them being scored a lap down. Although depending on what they can do with cautions flying, could be an advantage to them. No caution flags flown yet though. Alvin, we are nearly 40 minutes into this one, and I'm surprised.
It is, Rachel, and you know, that's actually a good thing. You know, I think we saw this exact race turn out in Suzuka. You know, pretty much the whole race came up, no caution flags, up to the last 45-30 minutes of the race. So how things are going, you know, they may seem a little bit on the aggressive side, so for some of the drivers, but regardless, it looks like everybody is still able to keep the car on track. If you got some damage, yeah, it kind of looks like everybody has been able to make it into the pits, do some repairs. But you know, sometimes these fast drivers, some aggressive, sometimes they think that this is a sprint format, and on a 3-hour race, I think we are kind of approaching borderline maybe sprint format, given how things are going here in iRacing with so many endurance races coming up. A 3-hour race may seem like a sprint race, but you know, you still gotta take it one by one.
You certainly do have to take them one by one, and 3 hours is on the short side for an endurance event, of course, as most of the series has been 6 hours, including 8, I believe, but this is short for them. So for this series, it is a sprint race. Of course, this comes on the back of the Blancpain GT race today on iRacing, which was a 90-minute race. In fact, 1.5 hours, so half the distance of this. That's a sprint race, if you ever had one, as we are approaching now 40 minutes, so we're approaching in about 20 minutes time that first third. 48 and the 86 doing battle at the moment. So 49 and 66, if I could actually use my eyeballs properly occasionally. As that's Blackadder Motorsport 66 car. And 49 Motorsports. I should have known that from the whole 49 part. That would have been a great clue. Yari Yanis behind the wheel for 49 Motorsports. See if they can get a good result in this race. Of course, that BMW looking a little crunchy already. It's had a few contacts, I think, by the looks of things, Alvin, but they're managing to just about hold things together here.
Yeah, it is, but you know, that car can really keep going. You know, as he runs a little bit wide, I think maybe he was trying to let that prototype go by, but that's the last thing you want to do, especially at that track. And you know, speaking of that corner, you remember that assistance that the number 918 gave to that GTC car? Well, he got a drive-through penalty for that.
He certainly did. There you go. The 818 or 918, sorry, getting a penalty. That's WR Racing B on pit road now for their service. And unfortunately, the Canadians at their home track not going to have the race they would have liked, so they're driving back out onto the track now. Lost positions. They're now last car in the GT field as the leaders will come past to lap them. Oh, nearly contact there. There was contact with Prato and Road Bar Stewart's white car. As Road Bar Stewart's truck got very close to Prato, actually hit Prato and sent themselves sideways, Alvin. So Road Bar Stewart's getting very hectic here.
Yeah, and this is pretty much the GT battle that we have been seeing pretty much from the dropout of the greenfield. These two have been really going at it. Really fortunate for the number 9 and 2.
3 wide there nearly for a second. As in fact, it was 3 wide for a brief moment. As we had a G Motorsports, your class leaders in the GTC field, no big deal. WR Racing laps down on one side and WR Racing's prototype on the other. So the Canadians going a bit crazy in this one.
Yeah, well, you know, I think, Rachel, that's called home field advantage. Yes, race control said that sometimes going 3 wide may lead into contact, but hey, you're gonna tell that to the homeboys. They know this track like the back of their hand, so they know where they can go 3 wide. Come on.
I don't think anybody's ever called a Canadian a homeboy before, but we can go with that. The 151 now we're gonna have a quick look at German Sim Racing along with Torque Freak Sunset, who were very strong in the early part of this season here, of course. There's Samba Racing behind them. Torque Freak very successful in the early going of this season, but just dropped back in performance throughout the season so far, Alvin. They're looking at trying to fight their way back up here now to a 4th place spot, as they both went round to G Motorsports again. That's the second time they've been in the middle 3 wide. The poor little Porsche. They'll come up now on GT cars, heading towards turn number 3. Torque Freak Sunset's going to dive in for a shallow entry. The traffic behind him held up. Advantageous moment to get through on the traffic.
Yeah, it is, and traffic here is all in, especially if you're the faster car, how you manage that traffic. This is all about how you actually get to do it. If you really know how to do it, and if you're in a battle, and if you know how to use that slower traffic to your advantage. I've seen this work out many times. I think I saw it early in the race with Samba Racing using one of the slower classes as a pick to overtake the number 181, and it worked fantastic for them. And going, coming here through this and ready straight, really going really fast, and Samba Racing gets a little bit hung up this the Hammer Down Racing GT3. But now gets able to overtake it, no problem. But this is the part of multi-class racing. Sometimes you lose time. Yes, you will gain it back sometimes, but sometimes in the desperation of trying to not lose any time, people may try some silly moves in here.
Silly moves in a multi-class race? I don't think I never see that one, Alvin, but this traffic will get past Hugo Prieto there, who is currently scored in second place in your GT field with road bar stewards white behind them. The Apex red up ahead, just stretching those legs. Mercedes are certainly proving to be the faster cars at the moment on this circuit. Something I found last time I raced a Mercedes around here, Alvin, the car, it just handles the fast-flowing corners a little better than the Audi.
It is, Rachel, and that is really surprising for a car that's that big. Talking about the AMG, of course, being that big and having that V8 right there, you would expect that the main advantage of the car here will be the straights, but these GT3 cars, they really have some decent levels of downforce that you can still use to your advantage. And I've seen, like you just mentioned, some drivers here in the GT class, especially on that Mercedes, if you really know how to set up that car to take those fast flowing corners, because I think that's kind of like the weakest link of this car here. As contact here, Samba Racing and German Sim Racing .em, lots of carnage here in turn number 1.
This will be a caution. I'm thinking we'll get a caution here, as huge contact. Caution is out, and Samba went up the inside of German Sim Racing, turned them around. We'll get a replay for you now and show you what just happened there as replay is up. Samba Racing up the inside of German Sim Racing, who did turn down, turns them around, collects the Sim RC Melon and NAB racing machines there in a pile of prototypes as Samba gets pushed sideways across the track. Oh, major carnage, and our first caution of the night.
Yeah, really unfortunate. And you think about it, one of the main storylines here was the battle for that prototype championship between Simatalk Esport, Fusion Racing, and Samba Racing, and we already have 2 of them.
I think it's just been decided.
Get caught into trouble, so perhaps this is championship over. Perhaps early in the race, congratulations to Simatalk Esports. Of course, there's still plenty of racing to go, okay? Simatalk Esports may still get into trouble, who knows? But this caution flag, I think it really benefits everybody here, because I think we were getting close into that window that everybody had to come into the pit. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if by the next time they come past the start-finish straight, everybody will be coming into the pits.
Here's a fun one for you, Alvin. 30 points for a race win. And, well, the only car within 30 points of taking the championship, well, there was Fusion Racing and Simatalk. There was Samba Racing. There was Team Vikings Molnir. German Sim Racing's 151. Well, they're scored down in 6th. That's not close enough in terms of points they need. So, this is looking like if Simatalk can keep the car in one piece, they have a championship, which is a huge boost to them. You go into survival mode clearly at this point in time, as the car's being waved around the pace car to get people back up a lap. This actually brings Fusion Racing back onto the lead lap should they get waved around, and that could be a big advantage for them. But you know what this does? This neutralizes all of our gaps throughout the field. G Motorsports had a huge gap, Simatalk had a huge gap, 24 seconds. Now, well, now that's gone.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, you got Simatalk Esports, and you also have Blackadder Motorsports, which are the pretty much, as it stands right now, what they're looking to be the championship winners after this race. For the prototypes, it really started off a battle of who's the best. You got 3 cars going into this race and trying to see who is the best. Now for Simatalk Esports, it's just a matter of making sure that you're clean, that you don't get involved in any mistakes. Make sure that if you see something coming in front of you, patience. If somebody is happening behind you, patience. There's really no need to push it now. Just make sure that you can keep the car clean. You will be good to go. Blackadder Motorsports, they're pretty much from the drop out of the green flag. It's pretty much the same story. They really don't have to battle this race. They just gotta make sure that they make it to the finish line.
Certainly is, of course, and well, we're going to see how this one will flow forwards, of course, and get the flow of the race back going again once this one is green flagged. But we have a couple of pit stops here as we actually are on the pit window, so this is perfect timing for a lot of these cars. We're at the pit window. This is exactly where they need to be, and I think nearly everybody will probably come in here, apart from perhaps our GTC cars.
I think everybody will just come in right now because not only the GT cars have a limited fuel tank, also the GTC cars also have a limited fuel tank as well. And well, I think we just have a little bit of an embarrassing moment and under caution. Number 77 Fitzy Motorsports going into Quebec into Clayton corner. Well, they just spun out under caution.
Whoops, that was a bit of a mistake to make, because unfortunately that sees them dropping back some spots there. You never want to spin out under caution. That's, yeah, as you mentioned, embarrassing, because it does happen now and again. People get a little cocky, a little extravagant, and mistakes will often be made, which these guys don't want to have to repeat, unfortunately. But it's just a product of how the racing sometimes can go. So Alvin, the dynamic of this one has shifted. The cars that are potentially still fighting for this one, Simasi Strawberry, they've been brought back to G Motorsports for take 2 here in an attempt to actually have a go at the GTC lead.
Yeah, it is, and you know, with all the things that have been going so far in this race, I think our main topic was championship, but judging by how things have been going, let's just forget about championship. Now let's focus on what's happening on the race, because independent of what happens on all these championships, we got fantastic racing that have been going so far, all the way through this first full course yellow. I don't think there's gonna be that much strategy now coming in right now, because everybody should be coming into the pits as it stands right now. But I was talking about strategy, and we got some cars in the prototype field just decided to stay out.
We certainly have, and that will make things particularly interesting for your field, as they're going to try and find a way around this one. Staying out, unusual, although a green flag pit stop can actually be more advantageous. You lose less spots in traffic, so we'll have to see how that one will flow. But cars from all 3 classes onto pit road. Pit road very busy right now. Is everyone in for service? Fuel and tyres most likely. Or do you, Alvin? Do you take tyres on every stop for the GT cars and GTC, or do you perhaps take them now and then not at the end?
I think judging by how the race has been going, and I think I will take tires on every single stop, especially if we're talking under full course yellow. You take that risk of taking the 4 tire, because you're really not gonna lose that much time compared if we were doing this under green flag conditions. You put the car in, full tank of fuel, 4 fresh set of tires, and go.
There you go. Under caution, 4 tyres going to be a likely decision here for all these cars that have come down pit road, so we'll have to see how they will get themselves sorted, of course, after they return back on track. Well, this has changed our dynamic. We didn't think we'd get a caution yet. We've just had one now, and it's going to be tricky to see exactly how this one does play. But in this sort of position, Alvin, we've now changed the strategy. What are we looking at now towards the end of the race?
I think strategy-wise, this really hasn't changed anything, because the full course yellow just came at the time that I think the pit window was gonna open for every class in here. So strategy-wise, this isn't really gonna change much in comparison to if it came like maybe 30 minutes into the race. Perhaps that could have changed a little bit of the dynamic of some people coming into the pits and some not. Yes, some cars, some teams stayed on track and didn't come into the pits, but we also have to remember that some of the cars were also involved in early incidents in this race. So I think that's where we started to see a little bit of off-cycle strategy here coming, but I think this is more of a result of early incidents more than anything else.
Very much so, and looking forward to seeing how that one will play out during this race, as we do seem to have that pause, a break even almost as we are now, approaching the 1 hour mark before we will head back to green flag conditions. A lot of cars have come down pit road for service, some have not, including your leaders who perhaps decided to go for a green stop, in fact. So far, our fastest lap of the race, Julian Riblew of Simatoki Esports, lap number 2, 1:10.154. Has not been beaten yet, so that's an impressive lap time from him. Yes, our leaders right now are going scored as having not stopped yet under this caution period, so that could be a telling one for us. We'll see how this one does play out, because we know they're going to have to come in very, very soon, Alvin.
Absolutely, Rachel. You know, they're pretty much gonna be around once they come back into green flag. They're gonna be around 39 laps around this track. So I'm really starting to question what is really the strategy that they're trying to get in here. Perhaps, you know, judging by how this race has been going so far, coming into the pits at the end whenever they can under green flag may not really actually be a bad thing. Hey, they may even do it right at the drop of the green flag. That way they just come into the pits, and once they come out, perhaps they will have a clean track. However, with everybody else coming into the pits already, trying to get through this traffic, it's gonna be really interesting.
Certainly is, and we are still single file at this time, although I think the lights are off on the safety car.
Yes, it is.
It is, so this time the safety car will pull in and we will restart here, single file in the DGFX Endurance Championship, the finale here at Mosport in Canada. Safety car will take that dive towards pit road. It does, fielded the command of Simatoki Esports, Talk Freak Sunset second, Unicorn Endurance third, the no stoppers, including WR Racing, in second, third and fourth. This could make things very interesting.
It is, Rachel, and it kind of looks like a good start here by the number 707, trying to get a good run here from the number 181, but the number 181 is really not giving up, coming into turn number 3, really right behind them. I think, Rachel, number 181 really wants to go for this lead.
He does indeed. That's Talk Freak Sunset, one of the faster cars at the start of the season. Hasn't really had the luck since then, but they are now hounding the back of Simatoki Esports. It's Jake Robinson behind the wheel of the Sunset machine there, as he goes after your leader, along with Fusion Racing, who are still scored a lap down, but they're sitting in the 3rd spot, so they can actually get past your leader, and the caution flies. They get themselves back on the lead lap here.
They could, Rachel, and you know, this is why I said that this championship is really not over, but you know, we have seen so far that for the number 59 and for the number 158, they have shown that they have, you know, being involved in incidents so early in this race. I think this really kind of puts them all but out of the championship picture. And for the 707, it's really more about patience, you know, trying to keep the car on track, not being involved in any mistakes. I think if the number 181 starts to put pressure on the number 707, I think that 707 is really not gonna fight it. They're just gonna let it go. They just need to finish this race.
Yeah, they do indeed need to finish the race. And we'll look down at your GT class. German Sim Racing's 305, sorry. Sweet Spot Racing and Fortune Motorsports there battling for position. And first, second and third spots. Pitting has really shaken up this field at the moment, Alvin. TNT Gold and VAPX Red, they did pit under this cycle. They're down the order somewhat. So a lot of no pitters out front. They'll have to come in very shortly. In fact, a lot of your leaders in the GT field pitted. Leaders in the GTC and Prototype did not, but everyone but the G Motorsports came in at the front, so that's an interesting one there. So G Motorsports just stayed out, second, third, fourth did pit, so very mixed strategies at this stage.
It is, Rachel, and You know, really interesting strategy by the number 305 German Sim Racing.de. They didn't come into the pits, but trying to look at where second place is right now. Second place is Sweet Spot Racing, which they came into the pits somewhere in the middle of this race. So trying to keep an eye of where did TNT Racing go. So TNT Racing Gold came into the pits during this caution. And right now they are 10 seconds behind German Sim Racing DE number 305. So really interesting strategy that is starting to develop here in this GT class.
Very much so at the moment, as they'll try and cycle through now. A lot of traffic blended in together now. Faster cars and slower cars in the same classes are having to deal with the fact that they are now on different pit cycles. It's definitely made this one a bit more interesting to handle. 4X HPD on pit road in their service, as is one of the German sim racing cars. Team Vikings Melania are out back on track, 9 laps down. Samba Racing Team are still, no, they're back on track as well, 3 laps down now, so trying to salvage whatever they can at the moment with a very damaged prototype. German Sim Racing 305 still leading in your GT cars. Good gap for that Audi R8 over second place Sweet Spot Racing. And 49 Motorsports, who are on top of each other here. 49 Motorsports, Yarianis there trying to go after the car of David Kroll, and they're looking at the inside. Will they get the move done? 49 Motorsports, BMW on BMW, and they get the pass done in turn 8, Alvin.
Yeah, that was a great move there from 49 Motorsports. I am looking at trying to give it a good look at the live timing and see where they're standing in terms of strategy. They did come into the pits during this full course yellow, so they are on what I will say is the majority strategy right now. So kind of interesting to see how this strategy starts to work out, because if you think about once this whole thing cycles through, 49 Motorsports effectively will be in the lead. So how German Sim Racing.de tries to play this strategy here for this race, I think this is something that we should keep an eye on.
Certainly looks like something worth paying attention to, of course, as they're going to do their best to try and keep their heads on. 49 Motorsports, a lot of damage on the front end of that BMW there, so great news that they managed to push this far ahead and get past other cars. They're running in second place at the moment, although V8 Red catching up now as they'll go 3 wide on the Andretti straightaway there. The 57 car 3 wide with Berlin Simsport and one of the work in progress racing cars. Work in progress Red there. Oh, contact, and off they go. Likely to get a caution here as 2 cars involved, 3 cars spinning on the backstretch as big contact again. Caution flag will fly, and this is a disaster as the 3 wide did not work. They were 2 wide there. We're going to replay for you. This is a turn up for the books. Replay showing you there. Of course, VFX were passing the work in progress car when the prototype of Berlin Sport went on the outside, made it 3 wide, forced them to pull in a little bit, tagged that car, hit the wall, came back across, clipped Hugo Pareto's TNT racing machine. The Torque Freak Radillion entry in GTC came sliding in and spun out in kind of reaction to seeing the crash. They managed to stay clear, I think, largely. Although I'll tell you that in a second. I don't think they do actually. No, wow, as the big drama there was watching the car come flying in, trying to avoid. I'm not sure why he chose to go left, but I believe it's the 224 possibly in your GT field. Came flying in there and smashed into the side of him. Can you see that one, of course, Alvin?
Yeah, it is. And you know, when we talk about championship winning moves, I gotta give props to the number 66.
It was Overdrive Racing. They overdrove, and for some reason, even though they had sight of the car, pile drive the Apex Red car. Oh.
Well, let's put it this way. When race control said, you know, you gotta be careful going 3 wide because it may result into contact, well, I think race control were onto something, you know. But going back into championship implications, you know, we're talking about what the number 66 and the number 707 need to do in this race so far. 66, I think this may be the winning move for the championship. They saw all this thing happen in front of them. If they were able to just slow down, make sure that they didn't make contact with anybody, go around the whole incident scot-free. So 66 did the job that they needed to do. I think they are sitting well here for this championship, Rachel.
I think they are indeed, and well, we have to feel for TNT Racing Gold and VAPEX Red, who are both in great positions there to fight for good points in this one. In fact, the championship for TNT Gold, potentially. They're within points striking range. But this one has been a complete disaster for those cars. VAPEX Red and them, of course, in severe damage. Torfrey Rodillion, we think they got away with that one largely. Although they were scored 13 laps down already after an earlier incident. Oh, that was a huge, huge crash. Absolutely disastrous. So many cars. And this, folks, is why, of course, Race Control said, we don't recommend 3 wide. It leads to problems. Well, guess what, folks? Mistakes were made. 3 wide happened. Berlin Simsport panicking the VAPEX Red car into the work in progress. Porsche, they hit the wall, and carnage ensued on a track with very little runoff in that section, Alvin. It was bound to end in disaster.
Yeah, it is, Rachel, but, you know, I think, you know, it's kind of interesting that we were talking that, you know, we were surprised that the race was able to go so good with no caution flags, and now in a span of just 10-15 minutes we got our second full course caution. However, this full course caution always, even though we may not like them sometimes, you know, because of the dynamic of how sim racing works, you know, there's really not much danger real life in terms of safety. But we cannot deny, Rachel, that these full course caution always bring some interesting strategies, and I think the best teams that are going to win really have to take these caution flags into consideration and really race smart. Yes, we don't want to see them, but you know, sometimes they are part of racing, and you have to find a way to use them to your advantage.
You do indeed. Unfortunately, if you're in these incidents, well, unlucky. But if you weren't, yeah, plenty of time to take advantage of that, and you've gained some free spots, you've gained strategy. Those that did not pit in the first caution might well do on this one, so that's going to shake things around, of course. And if you were close on fuel and you weren't planning to pit under caution, you might be a little bit screwed now, as we have gone past the hour mark. We are 1/3 complete and 2 cautions in a handful of laps apart. Alvin, this race is going to be dramatic from this point forwards, I think.
It is, Rachel, and you know, it's really interesting. Sometimes we look at these endurance races and we kind of think about them, you know, being 3 hours long in the race of this event here today. But when these caution flags come in, it's really, in a way, kind of disrupts the whole endurance dynamic, and it starts breaking them into segments. And this is what we're seeing today. Some cars coming here into the pits right now. 1 hour 57 to go yet, and from what I see, the caution flag period has been extended. So, Rachel, these things really start getting interesting, because now we were talking about a 3-hour race. Now this has become a 2-hour race, and who knows that after some time we may see another caution flag, and hey, who knows that just like last round we may see a 45-minute sprint.
Certainly is, and well, we don't want to have this one turn into a very short sprint race, but yeah, for a lot of these drivers, Alvin, we are looking at a 1-stop race now. 2 hours, or just under that. In fact, it's bordering on possibly actually being a 1-stop race here, as we are ducking under that hour bracket by about 10 minutes now. The lights in the pace car are still on as more traffic gets waved around. 6 cars left of our lead lap here. Oh, how do we decide this one? Because Fusion Racing are sat right behind Civitalk, but they are a lap apart. If Civitalk or Fusion can get themselves past, and there's a caution, this is ideal for them.
Yeah, it is, Rachel, and absolutely, these caution flags are really starting to throw this whole race upside down. And now is when we're starting to see some interesting strategies. Yes, Fusion Racing is still one lap down compared to Simatalk Esport. Summer Racing, I think we can just call them out for the rest of the race. So definitely, this is Simatalk Esports Championship to lose. Now, going down through the GT field for Blackadder Motorsports, in order for them to win this championship, they just have to make sure that they finish 14th or better. And looking at the championship standing, at the race standings, the car that's in 14th place right now, that's TNT Racing Gold. So I think we can virtually say that the number 66 Blackadder Motorsports is your GT champion as of now.
I think we certainly can. It's going to be interesting to see how this one does play forwards, Alvin, but the races for the championships are almost tied up in this position.
Yes, it is. So it kind of looks like, from a championship perspective, these championships seems to be all but wrapped up. I think from GTN, well, we already came in and we already knew that the GTC, the German Sim Racing.de, they already had the championship wrapped up. So they are just racing here for, just for pride and just to show the GTC class who is the dominating team and pretty much that they have been this whole season. But for Simatalk Esport, yeah, they are in a very comfortable position in terms of the championship. Still an hour 50 some to go, but I think if they keep doing what they have been doing throughout this whole race, patience, making sure that any move that they do, they take it easy, they shouldn't have any problem once the checker flag comes in.
Certainly not, and I'm more excited about what could happen if Fusion Racing can get back around this pace car and get us all waved onto the lead lap here, because this could be a critical point for the race. We might see the fight for the championship reignite. Right now they're separated by a lap, but I should say Paul Siri, is only separated by one car from being on the same lap. Another caution rejoins them together, and this is a whole different race.
It could, Rachel, but we also have to remember the incident that the number 59 was involved. They did have to come into the pits because they got some damage, and Simatalk Esport has been running the clean race that they needed to run. So if it comes to the situation that the 59 is able to come around and be back on the lead lap, yeah, that is good news, but they're really gonna struggle because Simatalk Esports has a clean car, and Rachel, you and I know that these cars, they really dislike wrinkles on their bodywork.
They certainly do. If cars could go for anti-aging commercials, they would love it. But the pace car will be pulling in soon, and we'll be getting back to green flag racing conditions. This time by Simatalk Esports. Green flag will fly. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the music of race cars. RacespotTV fan immersion there for you. A lap on a restart from various cars in your field. Alvin, that sound just sends chills through your bones. Race cars and racing on track. It's what we live for.
It certainly is, Rachel. And combine the sound of these race cars on a track like Canadian Motorsports here, Canadian Motorsports Park here in Mosport. You know, it's a fantastic sound seeing these cars going through all these hills, going up and down, turning on these SS, coming under hard braking, coming here into the Moss corner. You know, this is a fantastic venue, and when these cars multi-class racing, I think, Rachel, this is so far I think this is one of my favorite races so far this season. Yeah, we're still only an hour 10 minutes into the race, but you know, it's just the whole nature of this track, how it flows, the whole multi-class feel and everything. I think this is one of the best tracks to have these sort of multi-class racing.
Certainly is, and multi-class racing is probably one of the best we get here in sim racing. Fantastic action on the tracks as a prototype field will try and come around now to try and get in position here to race for the position. Of course, through traffic, that could be a tricky one for them, but looks like Fusion Racing have dropped back. Alvin, you were correct about the wrinkles. They do slow you down. Fusion Racing just can't hold on to Scimitar. They are driving for a championship.
Yeah, it is. And as it looks right now, it's more like Fusion Racing is more not only driving for championship, but they're driving more for survival and trying to stay in these top 3. But as we were just mentioning, you know, that top 3, I think it's pretty much all secure because everybody just behind Simatak Esport has been having trouble. So, you know, I think Fusion Racing has this second place on the back. It's just a lot of, you know, trying to not get into any more trouble.
Certainly is, and we'll have to see whether they can stay out of trouble for now, as the cars will get through the field here and do what they can as GT cars here filtering past GTC machines. Alvin, Mosport are very, very busy there. Looking at our leaders right now, we'll run to our top 5s. At the moment, up in your lead is WR Racing, because Scimitar Esport pitted finally under green flag conditions. So
yeah,
green flag pit stop.
Now, this is
and the driver swap, actually, David Soranzo in.
Yes, as I said, this is starting to become really interesting here with Scimitar Esport. Perhaps they think that with having this championship already in the back, perhaps they can try some weird strategy here and there. You know, they got nothing to lose really, so this is more of a, they were able to make it almost 12 minutes in the first stint. So, you know what? I think this is I think what they're doing is pretty much the right strategy. Just make sure that they keep the car clean and they're good to go.
Certainly will be, of course, and keeping your car clean important, but Scimitar playing their strategy, they're sticking to their numbers, which I think is more important at this stage. They are following those numbers and now making sure they stick on strategy, which is a vital move for them. And they're doing everything by the numbers. They're not changing the fact that their race has been given to them almost by the fact their competition is on a different lap or in a different position or has an accident. They're doing what they have to do. This is what it will take. 49 Motorsports leading the way in your GT class ahead of Sweet Spot Racing. There's a few who have pitted now. That one should cycle through. And we look at the 67 at the moment. Alvin, what's going on?
Yeah, you know, great battle here coming into the Andre straight, the number 67 with Christopher Elms. Having just to battle just a little bit of GTC traffic here coming into turn number 8, which is the beginning of the exit, but it's able to overtake this GTC car, no problem. But the number 992 gets hung up here in traffic, and I think that's what the number 67 was looking for, to try to extend that gap just a little bit. Let's see if the number 992 can take advantage, come here into turn number 1. And it looks like the answer will be yes.
Certainly looks that way, as traffic dealing with itself at the moment, as GT cars definitely raced a lot harder today than any other class we've seen so far. Those big long-nosed Mercedes, Alvin, this is one of the things I was pointing out earlier. If anything, it's the engine at the front of the Mercedes that lets you push the car harder through long sweeping corners than the Audi, where you're balancing oversteer. The Mercedes, you're about minimizing understeer, which actually makes the car pretty quick in these big fast corners. The slower corners, oversteer, very useful. Big corners, it can just be a little bit too knife-edged, and the Mercedes lets you really haul coal and get everything moving.
Absolutely, and if you think about it, main the main struggle for the Mercedes-AMG is really tire management. From all the cars that we have here in the GT class, this is the heaviest car that we have in, so tire management is pretty much the most important thing that you have to take in this car. Audi, like you just mentioned, yeah, and it's really balanced, and when it comes down to the slow corners, that mechanical grip of the Audi, it's absolutely fascinating. You know how well balanced that car is. It's a car that really doesn't shine on anything. It may not be the fastest on slower corners, may not be the fastest on fast corners. It's not even that fast as going down the straightaway, but it's so well balanced that when you put all those things together, it's a fantastic car to drive.
Certainly is absolutely fantastic, and what a great handling machine on the racetrack. These Porsches, though, it's been the first time we've seen the Porsche 911 in a multi-class series, of course, and probably was the first broadcasted multi-class Porsche event. And what a car it's been for this sort of racing, Alvin. It's been truly a fantastic machine. It's handled incredibly well, and we're really, really liking how this thing has fitted in.
Yeah, it is, Rachel, and this is one of the fascinating things that we have here when it comes down to multi-class racing, especially on the GT class here, as we got the battle here between the number 22 and the number 992. Number 22 was able to get ahead of the number 992 going here to the race straight, but let's say if the number 992, he didn't try to take any advantage here. He's trying to stay here as we got the Fusion number 59 coming here and splitting this battle for in the GT class.
It certainly is, and while the GT class is doing its thing, well, we look down at look actually here at Hammerdown Racing GT3 side by side with Blackadder 67. And look, a prototype going through wide and body contact there between Blackadder and Hammerdown, as Hammer tried to actually flatten some of those body panels as they'll get round the outside and make the move stick. Great move there by the Audi of Hammerdown Racing.
Yeah, so I said, Hammerdown Racing definitely taking any advantage that they can, and Hammerdown Racing has been, they have a good race so far. And in terms of the championship, yes, it may not show that championship-wise may not represent where they were supposed to be, but they have been doing the job that they need to do to make sure that they're still here, that they can still battle for a top 3 position at the end of this championship. And Hammerdown Racing so far doing what they need to do.
Certainly is, as we look at the 8 and the 66 car at the moment, as things could be getting heated up there. S17 Motorsports and Blackadder's 66 car, Mercedes on Mercedes right now. AMG Power versus AMG Power, down through turn number 2. Here comes Simitok behind them, going to try and filter through here. Simitok currently scored down in 6th place overall, but the latest to pit on fuel. And this Mercedes battle we're looking at, of course, for the 3rd spot at the moment. BMW's ahead of them. Pit cycle has definitely changed the complexion of this race, as running wide goes the car of SMT, allows Blackadder to get alongside. Blackadder gets the best run through the corner and will make that position very easily. All they had to wait for, Alvin, was a mistake.
Absolutely, Rachel. The 66 pretty much making sure this is what they need to do. They don't necessarily have to be involved in any battle, but if they see an advantage and they can go for it, they will just go for it. Now, you were just talking about the 49 Motorsports being in front, and they were involved in in a really interesting strategy during the first full course yellow. They came out in 2nd place, just behind the number 305. So effectively, by how things were going, they were able to cycle themselves into the lead. And with the number and with the 007 now out of the race, I think the number 49 Motorsports are looking for a good result here today.
Certainly are, as up front WR Racing logging laps in the lead. Berlin Sim Sport LMP in 2nd place. German Sim Racing's 151. Talk Freak Sunset and Unicorn Endurance your top 5 down in the GT class. What we're seeing here is 49 Motorsports and Sweet Spot Racing 1-2, with Blackadder Motorsports having gotten past SMT and Graphite Racing in 5th place. In fact, the first Audi there, Graphite Racing, so that's an unusual turn of events to see an Audi that far down the running order. Of course, a lot of the cars here off sequence with the caution stops. We'll have a quick look down at your GT field, GTC even. Work in progress red, 23 leading the way from Fusion Racing Black, who are not too far behind, with SimRC Strawberry in 3rd place. 4th place, G Motorsports and Berlin Simsport in the 5th place. So this one is closer in GTC than any other field at the moment, Alvin.
It certainly is, Rachel, and you know, there's we were talking about how these caution flags, you know, can really change the strategy and the whole dynamic of this race, and this is pretty much what we are seeing, how these full course cautions really kind of disrupt the whole flow of what was supposed to be a 3-hour race, and now it kind of split it into different segments of this race. So pretty much when we restarted the race, we had a pretty much an hour 50-minute race in our hands, so we can essentially say that it's a 2-hour race. So you know, these caution flags really throw some interesting dynamics coming into this race, especially cars that come into the pits and you know you go to the end of the line, and if you're the faster car, once the green flag drops, it's really amazing how you can manage that traffic and try to minimize any time lost.
Oh, we have a crash on the racetrack. Oh, you can see one of the Audis there was off. And I think that is a Viking car. 230 with issues on the racing surface. And that's Team Vikings Midgard. We'll have a quick look at a replay for you now on the screen. The Vikings with contact with one of the prototypes as the 404 car of Unicorn Endurance, who I'm trying to work out what happened here, Alvin, but corner belonged to the Vikings. And they were going to have to drift out, but Unicorn seemed to just pull down. They got away with it somewhat, but the Vikings unfortunately plowed into. Let me know, pillaging for them. They're heading back to the pits.
Yeah, it is. It kind of seems like the number 404, the Unicorn Endurance, kind of got lucky there, but I think a little bit of an aggressive move if you ask me. The number 230 definitely does. I think this is the second big incident that they are involved in this race, so definitely the Team Vikings Midgard not having the race that they were looking for.
So what we're saying here is the Unicorn speared the Viking.
Well, you can say that, yeah, even though one of them is really imaginary and the other one is real, well, yeah, imagination wins.
So unicorns are real and Vikings are imaginary?
No, the other way around.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Have you ever seen a unicorn?
Have you ever seen a Viking?
I've heard about Vikings in history books.
We'll carry on from this point as we try and play counterpoint here in the RacespotTV booth, and we're getting yelled at by Hugo as we'll look at Berlin Simsport for P2 as they're getting past some lap traffic. But look behind them, here comes German Sim Racing's 151 machine ready to get involved in the fight, and they've got a big draft here. 151 could go look for the outside because it's what Berlin Simsport will give them. It's German team on German team here, and traffic could be a factor as they get past a Blackadder 66 car there through turn 9 up towards turn 10. A very quick switch back. You have to compromise the exit of 9 to get into 10. Berlin Simsport holds them off just for now, as German Sim Racing will come sweeping in again. Will they have another opportunity? Can they look to the inside quickly? They will not make it in time. They'll just have to sit there and wait patiently as this clock ticks ever away, Alvin. We're approaching the halfway point.
It is, Rachel, and German Sim Racing that he was able to take that position away from the number 127 and got a little bit squirrely coming into turn number 10 White's corner, but still able to keep the car on the track. So I'm pretty sure that Berlin Simsport may see that happening and may still give a little bit of battle, but they are approaching the leader of the GT class.
They certainly are, and We'll just see if the 151 can make that pass there for second place in the prototype field. They go to the outside. Huge head of steam for the German sim racing car of Alexander Bratz. Berlin Sim Sports. Cyril Moser has to sit behind him. No competition there. Easily done. I'm broadcasting on replay. Like a numpty. Well, there it is. So we'll get back to the live footage almost a lap later from where I was looking at, which is highly embarrassing. The German Sim Racing's 151 is definitely still ahead, so that's a good thing, Alvin. You know what? I think we're about ready for a commercial break, folks, so do stick with us. We'll be back in just a few moments' time with continuing coverage here of the DGFX Endurance Championship live on RacespotTV and iRacing Live.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR. So it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing. Three wide action on a turn two. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going to get it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the cars. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race.
Welcome back early here on RacespotTV. Big accident for SimRC Strawberry there with a prototype car that hit them from behind in turn 9. And that's the V-Apex Racing entry. Purple, the 33 car, comes in from behind and slaps the back of the SimRC Strawberry car. Sends us spinning in circles when they're plowed into by the other V-Apex car, the blue Mercedes. So I have literally no idea what that Mercedes was doing when he decided that, well, the slow and spinning crashing cars ahead of him was a perfect opportunity to go play dropkick with a Porsche. But there you go. Unfortunately, SimRC Strawberry have just been pretty much murdered. The car is upside down on the curbing of turn 10. Hopefully those guys are okay, but that car is not. And I think there should be some hefty penalties for an utterly unsafe approach to a crash scene by the V-Apex blue Mercedes, and just over driving by the purple prototype, but ironic they're both in the same team. WR Racing will be scored your leader this time under caution as they wait for the safety car. What's interesting here, Fusion Racing has scored on the lead lap. This is the caution they wanted. This gets them back into position now to compete for the lead, if they can. In fact, they're scored ahead of Simitok Esport, which is everything that matters. Well, folks, this has certainly changed things up for the book. Ahead of Simitok Esport, although necessary to pit, Fusion Racing are running in 6th, Simitok in 7th. So this certainly will make our run to the end very, very interesting here, as we try and handle what's just happened in the race. Of course, we'll be dealing with the race control, expecting some penalties to come from that one, as the pace car will catch the field and we'll get things sorted out. Just past the halfway point here on RacespotTV. That was quite a big incident. You saw the replay just a few moments ago as SimRC Strawberry, multiple contacts with multiple V-Apex cars. Well, folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes' time as we'll return to our scheduled commercial break, and we'll be back before the green flag. Stay with us.
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Beginner for Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR eSports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing, it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda Simsport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing eSport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Welcome back to the final round of the DGFX Endurance Championship here on RacespotTV and iRacing Live. Sponsored by Sim Experience. That's without the E there. SimExperience.com. Suppliers of both the ActiveForce wheel and, of course, you also have the fantastic SimVibe system. More on that later. As things go, we're under caution here at Mosport. On Mosport, my Canadians will of course correct me. Going to be good green flag, maybe one more lap after this yellow flag lap concludes. Don't forget, SimVibe by Sim Experience is an advanced multi-dimensional audio-based feedback software that utilizes between 1 and 8 bass transducers, better known as butt kickers or bass shakers, to provide the correct physics-based vibrations at each corner and throughout your simulator. Check them out at simexperience.com. Lights are off on the pace car this time by. We'll be going green this time as we're heading through Moss Corner. WR Racing in the lead, your prototype field. Graphite Racing for the GT cars. And down in GTC, Berlin Simsport. Close fighting likely behind them, although pit cycle is shaking things up a bit. Lost quite a few cars who were in contention for points here. G Motorsports looking set to secure their championship in GTC. GT looking very, very secure. And Prototype will be interesting, of course. Simatoc Esports scored ahead now of Fusion Racing, but both on the same lap, so we could have a fight here for points. And every point will matter for these cars as they are drawn at the moment on points. Pace car will head up now towards turn 8, 9 and 10 complex. In fact, where the accident actually happened a few laps ago. And we'll get ready to go back to green flag conditions this time by. WR Racing got a huge gap actually over German Sim Racing's 151 car. About 6 cars behind him as the pace car pulls off. Green flag will wave, WR Racing with the flag as GTC cars ahead of them all bunch up there on the start. Prototypes dive around them and they catch up to your leader very rapidly there after the big bunching from GT machines. Samba Race Team in third with a lap car ahead of them. I believe that could be VAPX Purple. It is technically sitting in second but a lap down. Unicorn Endurance actually will correct ourselves there as they're also up fighting with some of these other cars for position now with their leaders. The 151 behind Samba, who's 4 laps down on the scoreboard. Berlin Simsport sitting there in third place technically overall, a few lap cars ahead of your current prototype podium sitters. Down in GT, Graphite Racing, they're in a bit of traffic. Hamadown Racing just got past them, in fact, for the lead of your GT field. Hamadown there in that Audi, pushing their way forwards, dealing with some GTD traffic. That's for the work in progress blue machine. And SimRC Melon up ahead, the sole surviving SimRC car after a huge incident a few laps ago for their sister car Strawberry. Traffic getting through the final corner there as up on Melon will come the Hamadown Racing GT machines to lead in your GT field. Berlin Simsport just up ahead of them, their leaders, the 87 car in the GTC field here. There's traffic will filter past them as well. Hopefully VFX Purple a little more careful this time with Pro GTC cars. Blackadder 69 car in second place with Band Cactus Blue in third there. Your top 3 cars in GTC very close together in this one. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on them. Up in the prototype field, German Sim Racing's 151, 3 seconds behind WR Racing, your leader. As we are here with 1 hour and 20 minutes remaining on the clock. That's a lap down car just behind your leader. We'll try and work out exactly who that one is because I'm not sure it's one of our higher up. It's Team Vikings Monier. The car that had an issue very early on. Back out here looking repaired and looking fast. Last time by a 1:10.012. I think that's the fastest lap of the race so far. We're rejoined by Alvin Nieves as Hans-Gunnar Hansen there putting in a stonking lap. This lap before this one was the fastest, 1:09.950. Hans-Gunnar Hansen here in a repaired Vikings Mjolnir car is doing incredibly well, Alvin.
Well, you know, this is a really interesting thing that's happening right now. You know, you got all that damage and, you know, you managed to repair some things here and there, and sometimes it really does work to your advantage, trying to get some damage repair. Like we said, it doesn't mean that the race is over. It's, you know, just makes it a little bit more difficult, but, you know, just gotta keep going at it.
You certainly do have to keep going at it, and of course going at it is what these guys are doing. The battling is hard, and the Monier are scored 9 laps down, so no real chance for them to do anything with this, unfortunately. It's going to be a tricky one for them to get back in line, of course. There's big traffic jam there behind 49 Motorsports here, although it's not necessarily them, it's actually the Bad Cactus Blue GTC machine, Alvin, and has mixed up GT and GTC cars there, doing battle back in your pack.
Absolutely, Richard. And well, as I was gonna talk, we got a full course yellow.
We do indeed, another full course yellow here as we try to work out what has just happened. It's the 992 car with problems here on the racetrack. Turn number 2 strikes once again, Alvin. What have we got?
Well, I'll have a look here at the replay and trying to get a little bit of a rewind to see exactly what happened.
Road bar stewards White having a problem, of course. That car was doing so well with TNT Gold, who are now out, of course. Replays up for you as we have contact with the number 17 car, the GTC machine from a G Motorsports. Oh, round they go. Just not enough room for 2 cars in turn 2.
Well, you know, that is one of the most difficult turns here in Mosport to actually try to go for the overtake, especially on the outside. It really doesn't matter if you're the faster or the slower car. You really have to trust the car that you're trying to overtake. And well, really unfortunate what happened there to the number 992.
Certainly is an unfortunate timing for them, as they have to get that car towed back to pit road, and we are once again under yellow flag conditions for the 4th time tonight. And well, this is going to make things tricky once again. The car's bunched up once again. Some people have managed to get through. The cars are all jumbled up, Alvin. This is one of those tough parts of multi-class racing.
It certainly is, Rachel, and we have been talking about how much patience you need to have, especially when you are the faster car trying to overtake a slower car. And you also have to know where are the best locations to actually try to go for the overtakes. And that turn 2, it's one of those tricky corners here at Mosport that you really have to think about it if you are going for it, because if the moment you lose that little bit of confidence, well, we just saw what happened.
Certainly do, of course, and your field is a little shaken up right now. The cycles are all different, so this is making things a little bit unusual, especially with the pit stops we've had during yellow flag and green flag conditions. We do know of all cars, Symmetric Esports can go the longest on fuel of all your prototype cars, having pitted the latest, Alvin, so that's going to be a big advantage for them.
Yeah, it is, and we are seeing again another full course caution and how these things are being thrown away in terms of strategy. I think this really gets a bit interesting now, because we are an hour 17 minutes to go into this race. So in terms of strategy, I think everybody still has to come back into the pits one more time after we go back to green flag conditions. So now really starts to get really interesting in terms of strategy. I think we may start seeing some cars saving a little bit more fuel than usual, and so this is really interesting, I have to say. I think from what we saw at the beginning of this race, Yamatak Esports, I think they were able to go an hour 15 minutes on 1 tank of fuel, but I think they may not be risking that much this time. But so just a matter of trying to make sure that they are at the right place at the right time.
Certainly is, and well, this will be another tricky situation for these guys. We are 1 stop now for all classes away from the end, so we're really heading into sprint territory now, Alvin. This is the portion of the race where things just can only get worse, really. The action's going to get far more ferocious, especially with points on line.
Yeah, it is, and there's like we were just talking about earlier during this race, these caution flags kind of break this, essentially what it was supposed to be a 3-hour race, and it started breaking it into little segments. So we saw the first segment, which was around almost 45 minutes, so that was around more or less when everybody had to come into the pits and do their scheduled pit stop. Then 10-15 minutes into that, then we got our second full course yellow, and that's where really the strategy started playing in terms of this race. Now with this caution, I think what we will see is pretty much everybody came into the pits, did the service that they had to do. Now they really start to think, where will be the best time to come into the pits and do that last pit stop.
Certainly will be. When will people do it? Will they do it early to get out of traffic? That could be an interesting one. Maybe after about 30 minutes time, maybe 35-40 minutes, Alvin, we'll see cars heading to pit road for that service. Of course, that does depend on who pits now and how far they can go in this motor race. The team that have put themselves in that position automatically based on pitting under green is actually Symmetric Esports. They could pit in about 25-30 minutes and be good to the end of this race, so they'll be able to pit the earliest, get out of the most traffic and run clean laps. So this is a big advantage for that team. Looking down to your GT field, Hammerdown Racing GT3 have been very powerful. And with the road bar stewards white and TNT gold out of the way, this could be their race to lose here.
It could be, but you know, even though there's an hour 15 to go now, there's still plenty of racing to go. You know,
Hammerdown on
anything
pit
can
road
happen.
actually here. Hammerdown heading to pit road for service.
So this is starting to get really interesting here in terms of strategy, Rachel. I have to say that they're Hammerdown Racing just trying to get their own strategy going. They know that perhaps even if the race came back to green, I think they saw that they were not gonna be able to make it under just one more stop, because yeah, you kind of expect that there may be some more cautions, but you know, you never know if this is the last caution that we will see. So you know, you gotta do your own race, do your own strategy, and make sure that your strategy is the one that works.
Certainly is, and well, that will be a very exciting one to see how this one will unfold. But right now, WR Racing still leading from German Sim Racing is 151, Berlin Sim Sport, LMP and Unicorn Endurance all in the right order this time, with Torque Freak Racing Sunset behind the lap down Samba Racing Team entry. But so Simitok Esports, these are all cars, apart from one car there, they're in the right order. NAB Racing there as well, laps down. But this could make the fight in the prototype division very exciting, Alvin.
It is, Rachel, and I'm trying to get a good guess here in terms of strategy to see what will be the optimal strategy that I'm seeing here. And top three, WR Racing, German Sim Racing, .de, and Berlin Sim Sport, they are 35 to 37 laps into distance. And looking at the next car, which is Unicorn Endurance, they are 28 laps. Same thing with Freak Sunset. So looking at Simitok Esport, and interesting to note, Simitok Esport, Fusion Racing are on the same lap, running 6th and 7th place. So I know that we were talking about championship being over, but this may be battle restart.
Certainly could be, of course. We're looking at maybe one more lap before we go back to green flag conditions in this one. Lights are off on the pace car, so it will be this time, Alvin.
It certainly is, right, Rachel. Now we should be seeing everybody now coming in. This is the point to make sure that your strategy is all set. You got everything that you need to do. Get those calculators out. Make sure to calculate when is the best time to come into the pits and do that last pit stop, because, Rachel, an hour 10 minutes to go when we go back into green flag, it's sprint time.
We certainly are back into sprint mode here in the DGFX Endurance Series. And Alvin, well, the picks are going to be fairly thin in terms of who we think can definitely win this one. The points are looking rock solid, but there's still so much action to come on track. I can't wait.
Absolutely, and you know, so far this race has been absolutely fantastic. The racing that we have seen in here today, especially in that GT and GTC class, has been absolutely fantastic. The job that Simitok Esports has been able to do so far in this prototype class. Yes, they are running in essentially P number 6 right now, but the job that they have been able to do so far, you know, keep it clean, make sure that they are at the right place at the right time. Yes, Fusion Racing is now right behind them, but I think Fusion Racing is really gonna struggle with a slightly damaged car in comparison to Simitok Esports. So as long as Simitok Esports can keep the car clean, make sure that they do the moves that they need to do, they should be good to go.
Very much so. We'll see how this one plays out now. Green flag will drop this time by. Top 5s, WR Racing, German Sim Racing's 151, Berlin Sim Sport LMP, Unicorn Endurance and Torque Freak Sunset. Down in GT, Graphite Racing, German Sim Racing 305, Blackadder 66, SMT and the Blackadder 67. In GTC it's Berlin Sim Sports 87, Blackadder 69, Sim RC Melon, and then work in progress, blue and red. Alvin, the green flag is about to fly. Let's get it on.
It is, Rachel. Now whole field coming here into turn number 10, leaded by the number 917 Dora Racing, as we go back to green, and the number 127 got a huge jump coming into turn number 1.
Huge run there by the Berlin Simsport car, who, wow, that was a jump start if perhaps ever I saw one, as they started running really in turn 10 before the leader had even gone, and they crossed the line ahead of the leader, so I think we're going to see a penalty.
Yeah, it's very likely that we may see a penalty, because you are really not supposed to overtake the leader before the start-finish line. So I think they had the right idea, just that it was executed just a tad too quick.
Well, I think there's another spot they kind of want to give back to German sim racing there, because they passed 2 cars before the line. We'll see what, of course, the race controls say, but they'd be having to give position to Unicorn Endurance also, who got past German sim racing. So I think that's a permissible return of the issue, I think. So what has been perhaps a little bit of a surprise in that one has been handled well at this point. Berlin Simsport second place behind WR Racing. Simtok Esport playing very carefully here. They know they're right ahead of their opposition, Fusion Racing, and the finishing order of these 2 cars at Alvin decides the championship, but well, they both have to finish for it to be open, as all 3 wide happens there as Simtok Esports thread the needle. Talk about, well, we just talked about being careful, and they decided to throw that one to the wind as Simtok punched themselves up into the 4th position, going after German sim racing now.
I think they're starting to get a little bit desperate here, Rachel. Simtok Esport, yes, they do realize that Fusion Racing is right behind them, but they also have to realize that Fusion Racing is running a little bit of a damaged car. So Simtok Esport really has no threat, no immediate threat from Fusion Racing. They do have to make sure, though, that Simtok Esport are not involved in any incident, because if they get a little bit of damage, well, it's gonna even things between them and Fusion Racing.
Certainly will, as the German sim racing drop down the order quite significantly here, and they're trying to fight their way back in this one. So Berlin Simsport dropped down the order to about 7th now, as Simtok trying to find their way past Unicorn Endurance and up into the 3rd spot. GT lead is also very close. Graphite Racing here fighting with German sim racing's 305. And right behind them, Blackadder 66. That's 3 cars for the lead here. Your podium sitters under one umbrella here, Alvin. Getting very, very sprint race now.
Absolutely, and what a fantastic race we are seeing here in the GT class, the number 305, with what I was thinking was a kind of weird strategy when we were doing almost close to that hour. But you know, now here in the lead, I'm trying to see here where Dexter Castro in the 49 Motorsports right now in P number 7. So definitely some different strategies in here playing at hand. I think that as it stands right now, Hammer Down Racing and Graphite Racing, Blackadder, and German Sim Racing .de, I think they do have the upper hand in when it comes to the strategy in this GT class as it stands right now.
Certainly is. This one gets very intense for your GT lead. Been joined by SMT Motorsports as well, so that's the top 4 now. Sitting next to each other here, Alvin. That's going to make things tough for these guys. There's no change in the top of your prototype field. WR Racing, German Sim Racing, Unicorn Endurance, and Simtok Esports, your top 4. Talk Freak Sunset in 5th. GTC, still Berlin Simsport with Blackadder 69. Sim RC Melon and the 2 work in progress cars running neck and neck. We'll go back to your GT leaders. This one is definitely on the intense side. And there they are, running right behind your GTC leader, Berlin Simsport. Just feeling a little intimidated with 5 GT cars behind him.
It certainly is, Rachel. And you know, there's this whole dynamic of full course cautions coming in. Yes, sometimes we kind of question why sometimes these happen, but you know, we cannot deny that after we go back to green flag, this really brings in some fantastic races, because this kind of the strategies that you kind of plan at the start of the race are pretty much thrown out of the window. You know, whatever was your pre-race plan, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's pretty much an hour, 5 minutes to go. Now you have to go.
Now you have to go, indeed. Wise words from Alvin Nieves there. Now it's time to go as German Sim Racing gets through for the lead there on Graphite Racing. Black and Mosport's looking like they're hounding from behind as well. This one could make things exciting. Hammerdown Racing, of course, have pitted under caution, so they are actually to the good here ahead of some of these guys. We'll have to see how that one plays strategy-wise, but move the German Sim Racing's 305 car up into that lead spot. We'll see if Blackadder can follow them through as well. Audi versus Audi has happened. Will we see Mercedes and Audi next?
It could be the possibility, you never know, and judging by how crazy this race has been going, the number 66 getting a good run here coming out of turn number 10 on the number 292. Let's see what they can do, but kind of seems like there's a slower car here coming in on the outside, the number 87 Berlin Senssport, so I think the number 66 is just gonna play it just a little bit safe here coming into Clayton corner, and we have seen that this corner here has been a trouble corner here for pretty much most of the field. Many people have fallen victim of this corner here today, and Rachel, I'm pretty sure that we haven't seen the last of any of the teams making a mistake going into turn number 2.
Problems for the 59 car here. Fusion Racing slow on the front stretch. They've had contact with the wall. Oh, getting a replay for you. Up on the curbs on the exit of 10 and into the inside wall they go. Big impact for your championship contenders. And Neil Andrews, well, I think he realizes he's thrown the chance away as he's had that incident there. Big impact for him with the inside wall there, Alvin. That's never going to end well.
It never does end well, and when you think about it, Fusion Racing had a second chance at this championship with all these full course cautions that have been coming out, and they were able not only to get to lap back, but be within a fighting distance of Simatalk Esports, because they came in tight into this championship. So Fusion Racing had definitely got a second chance, and I think they got a little bit too desperate, trying to push a little bit too hard in comparison to Simatalk Esports, and well, I think we can officially say that this is championship over.
I think it is. As long as Simatalk Esports can finish the race, it's championship over, which is of course a lot to ask for with this much time to go. As WR Racing, your leaders, in a very tight spot there with one of the I believe that's one of your GT cars. It's down the order a little bit. I think that is Overdrive, the 211, getting past Sim RC Mellon as well. I've got to give some props to these guys. WR Racing have really been at the back for a lot of our races this season, but in the prototype field, this car has flown in this race. They are actually holding their momentum up there. I'm going to go 3 wide. Oh, not a great move as they scare the Hammerdown Audi onto the grass. This is what we said, Alvin, about 3 wide not being a great idea. Once again, it's proved, but they managed to all survive. But Arthur Chan here for WR Racing did a fantastic job. Great performance from him, as this team have really spotlighted themselves with this strategy.
Yeah, it is, and you know, you can do 3 wide at the back straight, you know, it usually works. But of course, I said that, and we go back to what was the big incident that brought in the second full course caution, where it was a 3 wide going into the back straight, and well, it didn't end up that well.
You mean it's a 3 wide in the exact same position?
Well, you know, it's kind of like different circumstances. One of them ended in tears, but this one, it looks like WR Racing was able to make it work.
Just about, although nearly did not, as things got a bit intense. Another car making their way through. Unicorn Endurance up in the 3rd spot, but Simatalk Esports got through. They are up into 2nd place. And what's that car ahead of them? That's German Sim Racing. So not 2nd, they're in 3rd. And they're about to go after the 2nd spot here, gaining rapidly on the German Sim Racing car. Last time by a 14.9 for David Saranzo. German Sim Racing's Alexander Bratz with a 15.1. The 181 and a GT car making contact there. Torque Freak Sunset. Have a quick look back at what happened for them. See if we can show you that action again. It was the 211 in the GT field, the Overdrive performance car, and not sure who I can blame that one other than Torque Freak Sunset there, Alvin.
Well, you know, it really started them battling for position with the with the number 127. Going down into Moss Corner, they were going around traffic, and a little bit of contact from the 127 on the 181. That's what really upset the number 181, and number 127 was able to go to take that position. And then by them being really upset, well, that's what set up the contact there between the 181 and the number 211. So, you know, was just one of those circumstances of a little bit of miscommunication in multi-class racing.
Certainly is, and well, this has been a big one here. The racing's picked up. Simmental closing in on German sim racing. The competition has fallen to the wayside in this race, and this means everything for them. Fusion Racing still on pit road, getting very extensive repairs on that car after hitting the inside of the pit wall, coming out of the final corner. The real competition, and that was the Vikings, and they're out. So right now, this one is completely in Simmental's hands. They just need to finish. They don't even need to finish any higher. It doesn't matter where they finish as long as they finish at this point on the lead lap or so, Alvin.
Absolutely, and as we got the number 127, the Berlin Simsport at the number 127 coming into the pits, I got a suspicion that it could be for the damage that was sustained as a result of that contact with the number 181. Trying to look at live timing and see exactly. Well, no, it looks like this is a scheduled pit stop because
seems that way.
Coming in, just 45 laps. So yeah. So yeah, absolutely, this is a scheduled pit stop. I think they're gonna take some time and also repair some of the damage that they may have sustained during that contact as well.
Yeah, there's some hefty bodywork damage on that car. They're going up on the jacks for tyres here. They might be able to take this thing out and still compete. They are last car on the lead lap, but not for long. WR Racing comes through the final corner, will put them one lap down. This would have them the only car on one lap down. They could just stay here for a while, get some damage repaired, but they'll come out again. They'll get going. Simmental have passed the German sim racing car for second. Well, how did they do that? We'll have a look. That was on the backstretch, another 3-wide pass with the German sim racing Audi, and they just went up the inside. Beautiful. Oh, and Fusion Racing, after that incident we saw, Alvin, well, they just got a penalty for avoidable contact, which is funny because they're still on pit road getting repaired. So I don't think the drive was going to bother them too much, if they could even serve it.
Absolutely, this is kind of like adding rubbing salt onto a wound, you know, to what is pretty much a championship ending race here that they just had. And yeah, like you just mentioned, it may not really affect them much, but it's just a matter of when they come back. It's kind of like I think morale is really down on the Fusion Racing headquarters. So, you know, getting this penalty right now, it's kind of like you know, it's gonna hurt, but you know, if you commit the crime, bro, you gotta make the time as well.
Absolutely. I think Simmental back on pit road for repairs. I think that car not happy. Not Simmental, sorry. Berlin Sim Racing back onto pit road for further repairs on that car. Look at the 67 right now. To back of Blackadder's car in your GT field. They're battling with 49 Motorsports behind. SMT and Graphite Motorsports there as well. In fact, this is a huge grouping. This is Blackadder's. No, it's SMT. It is Graphite, Blackadder 67, 49 Motorsports, and War Dogs GT. And this is extending all the way back from the third spot. So there's a podium available in this pack, and everybody wants it, Alvin.
Absolutely, and you know, this race is really not over. We are just 55 minutes into this. We got 55 minutes to go in this 3-hour race. I was gonna say that we were 50 minutes in, where, well, it's been a long time since those 50 minutes came by. So this battle here in the GT class of 49 Motorsports and Blackadder Motorsports, number 67 and number 49, going into the Andretti straight. Let's see if the number 49 can get a run, but you know, it's a BMW and it's a back straight, so really not much there Dexter Castro can do.
Not much Dexter Castro can do at the moment, but doing a fantastic job regardless. That BMW a little bit banged up Alvin doing a very good job regardless, though. Always like that team, because the sorry written on the back of the car is quite a very nice sentiment from them. But to the inside will go the multiple lap down car from Samba Racing Team there. 4 laps down at the moment, pushing through your GT field. As does the Vikings prototype as well. They are, I believe, 10 laps down at the moment, so not a great day for them, but they'll still try and finish the final race of the season. 127, Berlin Simsport LMP going to get a penalty for avoidable contact. Again, another prototype receiving a penalty when they're already on pit road making repairs, so 2 somewhat useless penalties there. But 67 car side by side with the 49, Blackadder Motorsports and 49 Racing, Motorsports even, I should say. Bit of a wiggle there coming out of Moss as they're going to head up the Andretti straight here. Had been side by side, but lost some ground there. That little wiggle for the BMW, Alvin. Not quite able to hold the power down like the Mercedes was.
It certainly is, and I think while they were going down into turn number 4, going to heavy braking into Moss corner, I think there was a little bit of robbing there, and I think that's what really upset the number 49, and that's the reason they weren't able to complete that overtake. But you know, Dexter Castro 49 and this BMW C4, I think they do know how to manage these fast corners. I'm pretty sure that as things stand right now, I think he may try to get another good run coming into turn number 4 and see if he can take this position away from the number 67.
Yes, he certainly could make it work, and have to see if he can hold on and get his spot over the Blackadder car. But the 49 car has, well, the Mercedes I should say, just a little bit more strong than the BMW. It's going to have more weight to allow it to put the power down, which seems to be a factor for them. They are side by side here running towards turn 4. Dexter Castro on the outside, not going to be a great spot for him, but can he hold the run down to the inside of 5? Will he dive for it? He does not. Let's focus on setting up the exit as War Dog's hounding them right now. All 3 cars to a great exit, but War Dog's there very close. Oh, and Alvin, news. WR Racing onto pit road. Simotok Esport to the lead.
And this is pretty much what we were expecting now. This starts to turn a little bit interesting, especially for WR Racing. I think they have been doing a good race here so far. But with 52 minutes to go, well, they really didn't have that much of a choice, you know. But they're still not gonna. I think they still have to come down pit road just one more time for a splash of gas, perhaps. So as the 49 was able to get the pass finally done coming into turn number 1, what a move.
Beautiful move there by Dexter Castro, getting that job done. We'll try and get a replay for you that one, because that was a brilliant move. As he comes out of the final corner, turn 10, huge head of steam for that BMW, gets it turned in tight, just inside the Mercedes there, and it's side by side across the line. Inside line for turn 1, gets it done. Lovely move by Dexter Castro.
I think this was more of a textbook move, you know. Make sure that you calm down on that last turn. Make sure that you get a better exit turn compared to the car in front of you. And this BMW, it really does have the downforce needed. It may not have the horsepower, but it does have the downforce necessary to get a better exit. And well, Dexter Castro now running in P4.
Yeah, he certainly is. And well, up at the front, Simotok Esports back out front here. And this is a great position for them to be in. There's nobody for them to hit. There's only them. There's occasional traffic, so the road is pretty clear ahead. It's a fantastic position for that car, looking at a championship win in this series. Simotok Esport have done a great thing this season. And if we look at those... I was going to have a quick look at the points, but it turns out I closed that tab, which is a mistake. But we'll get back to that in just a second. On-track action at the moment, looking down to your GTC field, Alvin, what's going on?
Yeah, coming down to your GTC field, we got the number 87 Berlin Simsport and comfortably in the lead, as does number 69 is coming into the pits right now for what should be their last scheduled pit stop. So that moves the 799, the SMRC.de Melon, right now into second place and having a good battle here with the number 23 Work in Progress Racing.
It certainly does as well. Things are going to be getting fun as we run up towards the end of this one. And the racing has been fantastic so far this season. We're looking at the standings, by the way, for your prototype division. Simmentalk Esports, well, they've had 2 victories so far. Germany and Belgium. They came, I believe, 5th in Brazil, just like Fusion did in Germany. Came, I think, 2nd in Belgium, whereas it was 2nd for Simmentalk in Japan. The points are a mirror. Exactly the same results in both cases. 2 30s, a 14 and a 27 for both teams. And while Simmentalk have just managed to keep themselves a little bit more clean in this one, Alvin, looks like German Sim Racer could leap up as well here and take possibly 2nd place in this one.
There is that possibility, but I think that you know, this race has been more of a race of survival more than anything else. I think that definitely Fusion Racing came in with high hopes and not only winning this race but also winning this championship. And well, they've even had second chances if you look at it. And well, this definitely has not been the day for them. So I'm pretty sure that once this race is done and they go back to their garage and they think, what could have happened? I think they're gonna think really hard about this race and all the mistakes that they did and what could have been, Rachel.
Certainly is, and well, what could have been is what could have been, but this is what doesn't happen in racing. What could have beens are never enough in motorsports. But as things are going, 4X Racing heading back out of pit road after having pitted. We're inside the final hour here, Alvin. We're in, well, 45 minutes to go. Where has time gone? This race has gone past so quickly.
Absolutely, and you know, I think this is more of a combination of, you know, great racing that we've had in here today, but also the track itself. You know, we mentioned that this is the shortest track that we have here in this DFGX Championship, and that also kind of brings its own dynamic when it comes to not only multi-class racing but also how time goes. And you know, for the prototype cars, we are talking about a lap around 1 minute 9 seconds. So you know, you are doing lots of laps here in comparison to, for example, the last race that we had at Spa. We're talking a lap of just over 2 minutes for the prototype cars. So it really, you know, it really does change the whole feeling of how fast time flies sometimes, and you also add to that. This track is really fast flowing, so we got I'll say a higher than average top speed that we may see on other trucks, for example. So you combine those two, and you know, the fact that we've also had some good racing here as well. Yes, we had some couple of full course yellows here and there, but even with that, you know, this track really does provide for some great racing.
Certainly does indeed provide fantastic racing, and we've had a great race here today. 45 minutes left on the clock, and we'll be coming towards the end of a championship, one that has been truly fantastic. And we are looking at champions already in Simmentalk Esports. They have done a fantastic job securing this one, just staying clean. In fact, Alvin, it's been the big part. Blackadder's 66 car in GT, well, it was close on points, but Blackadder's 66 car is currently sitting in the lead, so that's potentially 30 points for them. Their competitors, 49 Motorsports, sorry. Their competitors in the Hammerdown GT car are in 4th place. Now, TNT's out of the picture because of, obviously, the incidents they sustained. Hammerdown Racing would have to win the race and Blackadder not score any points to take the championship, but they will secure 2nd place should they finish. Down in your GTC field, however, German Sim Racing's 255 car, well, they're looking at holding on to this one for now. In fact, I don't think they're actually here, which is kind of a problem. No. German Sim Racing's 255 car isn't here. We have Sim RC Melon leading the way with Work in Progress red, Fusion black, Work in Progress blue, Bad Cactus Berlin Sim Sport black and Mosports. I don't see German Sim Racing's car in the standings for this event. So they're throwing a championship away. Sim RC Strawberry are out, 31 points back. German Sim Racing actually might have this thing locked down. Actually, they do, because Sim RC Strawberry would have had to have won and still can't beat them. So yes, as things stand, yeah, German Sim Racing didn't need to show up, which I'm not sure if I agree with the idea of being locked into the championship points and not turning up because you can't lose, but German Sim Racing's 255 car will take the championship, although Sim RC Strawberry will be passed by Blackadder Motorsports 69 car as things stand. Oh, the maths has been fun for that one, as we'll kind of go through with that one. I'm not sure, I should probably stick with maths, that's not really my strong suit it seems. Neil Andrews has been black flagged, it would seem, as I'm not sure why they are giving him a black flag when he's on pit road repairing his car still. But there you go. Alvin, the fields are all pretty much set in terms of points for the finish.
It certainly looks like that, you know, when it comes to, it kind of looks like most of the championship is pretty much all set up, but got a battle here between the number 69 and the number 87 in your GTC class for what is P number 5, coming down into turn number 3, Quebec corner. Berlin Simsport with the advantage here. Now, let's see if Blackadder Motorsports can get a run here coming into, but you got the prototype coming out on the outside, so that may hinder a little bit, but slide just a little bit. The number 87, number 69 got really lucky, the number 87 not to hit the number 87, but still number 69 was able to get the move done.
Nicely done there for the 69 car Blackadder Motorsports over the 87 car of Berlin Simsport. Two cars that had been battling for the lead. Now battling a little bit further down the pack with the timing over. Blackadder up to the inside though. They could get through here again. And I'm on a replay. So you know what? I'm going to cover the fact I was on a replay for the second time in one broadcast by bringing in Arthur Chan from WR Racing. Arthur, you guys have had a fantastic race today so far. Things are a little bit not so great now. You're a lap down, scored in 5th. But a top 5 result, and you led many laps yourself. How did it feel out there?
You can hear me okay?
We certainly can.
Okay. Yeah, it was one of those magical races today, actually. Everything seemed to work out really well. Car felt great. I don't know about all the issues with that cars around us had, but we've done our last pit stop now, so we should be in a good spot, and we'll see where we'll end up.
It certainly will be, as the 404 and the 181 have also pitted. Unicorn Endurance and the German, not the German sim racing car. We're looking at the 181, which is Talk Freak Sunset. But Arthur, the car out there looked absolutely glued to the rails. You guys, I don't think have led this season, but to see you guys up there was fantastic. And you actually had the legs for this one. The traffic looks crazy here, though.
It absolutely was. I find it tends to get better in most of these events as you put in more laps, because people are more used to where you're going to pass them and where you can pass people. As far as the car is set up, really have to thank Steve Greenwood on our team, who's our engineer magician. You tell him what the car does and he fixes it, so big thanks to him for that. And yeah, big thanks to Lee as well on the car putting in the laps.
Of course, currently WR Racing running in 5th place, Lee Ward behind the wheel. Arthur Chan, thank you for joining us. It's been fantastic having you here, and best of luck with a top 5 finish or higher.
Yeah, thanks very much, and also a big thanks to your team and Racespot, and really adding to this series with your terrific broadcasts. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you very much to you too. Thanks for joining us, Arthur.
Thank you.
Arthur Chan of WR Racing there, Alvin, and they have had a fantastic one here today. It's been great to see what they've been able to do in this race, as you know, they've not had the best of luck this season, but you know, to see them up there with a great result in this one, I mean, that's awesome to see. They're running in 13th points. These points, whilst not going to lift them too far, will certainly actually move them up, I think, a couple of spots here at least.
Well, it may not be something that may secure a top 3, but it's always a.
This will be a top 10 in points, actually. If they finish in the top 5 here, that's top 10 in points for them.
Oh, that's even better, but it's always a morale booster. You may have had a very bad season, as you just mentioned, but coming into the last race and being able to secure a top 5 finish, I think that you can end the season not necessarily on a high note, but on a very positive note, and you can be proud of the work that you have done. It's sometimes it's more important sometimes that you do these things and never give up, and I think this is what WR Racing has been doing so far this season. Yes, bad races, but so far this race it looks like it's going the way they want it to go. That way they want it to go.
Certainly is. Have a quick look here at the Blackadder 67 car with Graphite Racing behind them. Another Blackadder machine ahead of them. It would seem it's the Blackadder. I believe that's one of their cars that's a lap down, possibly, in this order. I don't think there's another Blackadder car in the field unless I'm seeing double all of a sudden.
Could be the possibility you may be seeing double, but that as.
Oh no, sorry, look at the class leader. Do excuse me, I'm looking at the class leader who's a lap up on Blackadder 67. That is the 66 car, and I'm going senile apparently. Yeah, disregard.
It happens.
It really does, unfortunately, especially to me, as I'm losing my mind, it would appear, as Blackadder 66 car, the class leader. Yeah, just that other Blackadder car, the one that's not doing anything too important. War Dog's up in second place right now. The Mercedes SMT in third. So it's Mercedes 1, 2, 3. Hammer down in the Audi in fourth place. Fortnite Motorsports in the fifth spot. German Sim Racing 305 in fifth. GTC right now is work in progress red. Fusion Racing black. Work in progress blue. Bad Cactus blue and Blackadder 69 car. In your prototype field, Simultac Esport. Last car scored in the lead lap. Unicorn Endurance. German Sim Racing's 151. Torque Freak Sunset. And WR Racing in fifth. They've made their final pit stop. Time to make some aggregate spots up here. Simultac Esport, of course, last to pit earlier on. Will have to pit yet, but they do have a lap advantage right now, so could be they hold the lead on this stop.
I think that is the possibility that even with just 37 minutes to go, they really don't need to do that much service to the car. I think they got this race in the bag. Now, do I take tires or do I skip tires? That's a really interesting question because, yes, you can come into the pits and do your service as needed, and you will come out ahead if you don't take tires. If you take tires, perhaps you're taking the risk of coming second, third place. But you never know if we may see just one more caution.
Certainly will be. Well, folks, we're going to have a bit of RacespotTV fan immersion right now, and who better to ride on board with, I think, than Graphite Racing as they try and chase down the Blackadder 67. Enjoy a couple of laps on board. Welcome back to RacespotTV as you just watched Blackadder's 67 car doing the loop-the-loop. Unfortunately for them, turn number 2 there proved to be a little bit too much as, well, things got a little congested on the track. 2 wide, nearly 3 wide there, in fact for a moment. They put the rear wheel, Alvin, on the grassy thing and the car did the spinny thing.
Yeah, and I guess I you know, Rachel, this is the turn that we have been talking all day that I think was going to be one of the most challenging corners in here in this race, turn number 2 Clayton corner. We knew that it was going to caught many of the drivers off guard, and we said that you really have to be on your toes and once you're going into this turn, because it's really, you have to commit 100%, there's really no going around it. And the slightest hesitation that you make into it, you're going to visit that grass and you're going to spin. Fortunately, he kept it off the wall.
Yeah, it certainly is, and well, turn number 2 is one of those corners where you get the line right, or you get in the grass. Unfortunately, by the nature of the thing, we're looking at position 2 right now, fight. Oh, as off goes Hawk Freak Racing Sunset on a cruise course for the tyre barrier, and clonk, yeah, into the tyres for them. Oof, big hit for Talk Freak Sunset there off turn 2. We're talking about how if you get the line right, you're fine. If you get it wrong, you're in the grass. That just proved literally everything we were saying there, Alvin, as Talk Freak Sunset caught up in a big bunch of cars, and it ended rather badly for them. But this is what traffic can do in this corner. They were fighting with Unicorn there for the 2nd spot. Unicorn hold on to that, and German Sim Racing takes 3rd now, as they're going to have to head down pit road for repairs. War Dogs, GT and SMT still fighting, but look who's caught them up again. Blackadder 67 car is back in the fight here behind SMT. I'm not sure how the ordering is working here because they are scored a lap down from them. They weren't actually fighting for position. They were a lap down there on the SMT Mercedes. Looking towards your lead group, 25 seconds gap for Simitok Esport. I think they've been into pit road actually here, Alvin. Simitok Esport might have just pitted. But look at times, yes they have. They pitted a lap ago. So they hold the lead with 25-second gap. Their strategy has worked. All they need to do now is cruise to the finish, and this is their race.
It is cruise to the finish and hope that no caution comes in, because looking at how much time they spent into the pits, they only spent 40 seconds. So you know what, thinking about it, I think they were able to just add the fuel that they needed to finish this race and also change all full tires. So Rachel, I think they are good to go, and if it happens that a full course caution comes in, I think Simitok Esport definitely does have the advantage.
I think they certainly do, and that's a great position for them to be in, of course, as Simitok Esports now shouldn't really need to pit again. That car is good to the end of this race. And speaking of the end of the race, we have precisely 30 minutes left of the DGFX Endurance Championship. And it has been a fantastic season, Alvin. We've been to some amazing circuits this year, or this year so far. We went to Interlagos, we went to the Nürburgring, we went to, of course, Japan and Suzuka, Spa, and now we're here in Canada. And it's been a fantastic season. We've had a great time with this series.
It's been a fantastic season, Rachel. Like you just mentioned, we started round 1 at Interlagos, and it was a great race. And then round 2, I think that to me that was the most interesting race from this championship. Going into the Nordschleife, and yes, we have seen GTs and GTCs being in the Nordschleife, but having the HPD in that track was really the wild card. How would that car interact with their slower cars, especially on a track like that? It's not really that wide, it's really narrow once you go into the Nordschleife portion of the circuit. So to me that was the wild card of this race. Suzuka, I think to me I underestimated the race there at Suzuka. I think that it was gonna be a lot more trouble than the Nordschleife, but it was a great race that we saw. Spa, I think Spa it was an interesting one as well, because not so many times we have a total night race, and we had that one in Spa. Yes, that start of the race, I say the first 40 minutes was a little bit shaky, I have to say, but then after that it was fabulous race that we got to witness, and now we come here down to Mosport and we wrap it up, and what has been an absolutely fantastic race here by the number 707 Simatalk Esports. They have been the class of the field here. They haven't done any mistakes. They have done all the right moves that they need to do. Rachel, from the looks of it, doing anything goes as planned. We are looking at your champions.
We are indeed looking at the champions, potentially the champions elect, I think we'll call them at this point, as Nav Racing are going to have to come down pit road for a penalty here. But actually looking just behind it now, things are getting a little bit frisky there. Your GT field, we see, I believe, Bad Cactus Blue on pit road for their scheduled snow. That's for repairs for them. As work in progress red there behind the German Berlin Simsport car. Eventually not mess these names up after perhaps a season or two. As work in progress red looking at catching the Torque Figure de Leon car a lap down on them as SMT Mercedes comes down pit road from 3rd place here for their final stop. In for what we expect will just be fuel only. That car looking very clean, so they should be in a great position for this one. Things moving forwards here, and we'll get this one done in short order. Fortuna Motorsports up in the 4th spot for your GT cars. First car a lap below the rest of them, so we'll see if they can gain a spot here depending on traffic. As I believe that was the work in progress blue car they just passed. Looking at P2 at the moment, and this is P2 in your overall the prototype class. German Sim Racing's 151 here, Alvin, doing fantastically well. Actually up to the back of Unicorn Endurance. Looking at the faster car at the moment, Unicorn last time by 13.911. German Sim Racing a 12.6, so they're on the charge right now. And Garrett Winter looks like he's really trying for this one.
He certainly looks like he really wants to take that P2. We also have to take into consideration that the number 404, they are in front, so they are also battling the traffic in front of them, and perhaps they are not catching the traffic at the right time. Although at this time they were able to catch the number 211 at the right time going into the Andretti straight. So, but still, it kind of looks like the number 151 is still able to get a good run here. So let's see what they can do.
We certainly will see what they can do as the cars filtering through now. The time ticking away. Looking at about 25 minutes remaining here. The clock is winding down on a season that has been truly fantastic. A quick look here at the WR Racing car. Lee Ward behind the wheel. They're running in 5th spot now, still holding on. Just the first car lap down, the only car lap down. So if they can keep this car in one piece, they're looking at a top 5 finish in the top 10 in season points for them, which will be a fantastic achievement. This one is going extremely well, but it all does depend on traffic and how things do end up flowing.
It absolutely does, and we still got seeing this battle between the number 151 and the number 404. Trying to go around traffic and still keep a highly competitive level here for this battle for what is your number 2 in your overall race, as the number 404 definitely has a good advantage here. The advantage between the gap between these two, it's only 0.7, as the 404 gets a little bit caught up behind the GTC car, and that allows the number 151 to close the gap and perhaps get a good run here. Not necessarily going into turn number 1, but we may see a run going into Moss Corner.
We do. Moss Corner indeed is always one of those tricky locations, and the traffic always a tricky spot there to get past anybody.
It is, and the 404 gets caught up into more slow traffic, the number 58, and that really does allow the number 151 to get the number 404 box into the Fusion Racing GTC, and well, 151 was into P number 2.
certainly are. 151 with a great move there on the Unicorn Endurance car. We get past Dexter Castro there in the Fortuna Motorsports entry. Good points for the German sim racing team. That's exactly what they would have wanted. And looking at the overall points, this gives them the best chance here to move up to potentially second place in the standings.
Yeah, and you know, at this point of the race, really every point matters. And when you consider the horrible race that Fusion Racing and Samba Racing have had that so far in this race, we were talking about perhaps a 3-car battle for the prototype championship. And well, with all the things that has been happening, not only Fusion Racing and Samba Racing have lost the shot of the championship, but they are also in the danger zone of being dropped out of the top 3 in this championship. And that means if you're outside of the top 3 in the championship, you don't get the automatic invitation for the next season either.
87 and a 7 at 9 at 9 at the moment on the racetrack. This is, I believe, Berlin Simsport and Sim RC Melon. And they're duking out for the 4th and 5th spot here. So valuable points available. Berlin Simsport currently in the 4th spot there overhead of the black and yellow car. Well, there's 2 of them, but the jagged one, I should say, is the Sim RC machine. The rather clean looking one is certainly the Berlin Simsport entry. Through comes SMT Motorsports and also 4X Racing from the prototype division there is at the inside as they go wide. Berlin Simsport do push wide, and the inside line given there to Sim RC Melon. Can they clear them in turn 4? They do. Nicely made.
Yeah, and it does seem more like a move from the number 87 that they were allowing the faster cars trying to go by, and the number 79 said, well, you know what, you're trying to let them go by. I may not be a GT, I may not be a prototype, but I'm just gonna take advantage of it.
Absolutely right, as we'll keep our eyes on this one. Is battle for 4th overall in your GTC class even. As it behind them comes Graphite Racing from the GT field, they'll filter through. G Motorsports did so well in the early running here, and they've dropped down the order somewhat to now be down in about 7th, I think, in the GTC field. The gap's out front. Simatoki Esports, they've pulled the gap up from 25 seconds now to 31. Last time by it. Oh, contact with Berlin Simsport. I thought that was Simatok for a second, but it's not. Berlin Simsport goes into the back of the Bad Cactus Blue car in turn 5. Could get a replay up for you there, but oh my gosh, Berlin Simsport, who were running down in the 6th spot, contact with the back corner of Bad Cactus. The 2 of them spin out and right in front of Simatok Esports. On a scale of 1 to 10, Alvin, how much of a heart attack did David Soranzo just have?
I really have no idea, but judging by how this race has been going, this is another championship saving move there by David Soranzo and the Simatok Esport. I'm pretty sure that as soon as he saw that happening, he slowed down a little bit more than usual, which is always good, and it also helps that nobody else was right behind him, because from what we have seen in this race so far, you may slow down, but if the cars behind you don't slow down, well, we see the carnage that could happen.
Certainly will do, and the time is still ticking away ever more. 20 minutes left on the clock here in this event, as we're counting down the final 20 minutes, and things staying pretty clean. No caution flags flying in the last few moments to really make things dramatic. Perhaps best if this one plays out peacefully for everybody involved, as look who has got caught up here. Hammerdown Racing scored leading now in your GT field after cycling through things in your pit sequence. Hammerdown there right behind one of the Blackadder entries, one that's actually a lap down at this point in time, Alvin. So it's looking like Paul Darling actually leading the way here, could be to the flag. They seem to have a fairly significant advantage.
It is, and you know, this is judging by how this has been going, this looks like Hammer Down Racing may have this race on the back. It's really close though, because they are almost 40 laps into this stint, and I don't think they can make it all the way to the checker flag without stopping one more time. I think 49 Motorsports are really on the driver's seat right now. I think they have this race. They can win this race. It really does depend on how Hammer Down Racing is in terms of the strategy, but I don't think they are going to make it all the way to the checker flag.
You could be quite right here, because they could be waiting for a caution. That car last pitted quite a while ago, so unless they're maybe saving considerable amount of fuel, they last pitted on lap 70. That's 30 laps ago. They've got 10 to go, and the laps here are 1 minute 20, so 10 laps of fuel perhaps remaining versus approximately maybe 15 laps of time. This one could be a very big problem.
I don't think they will make it, because I'm looking at the lifetime and they showed that they are right now in lap number 41, and for the GT cars they should have somewhere around 14 laps to go, so I think they still have to come down and for a splash of gas.
Certainly could be a splash of gas, might be what they need, but 49 Motorsports are currently heading through Moss Corner. Hammerdown's gap is maybe 10-12 seconds. It's not a huge gap there for them, so I don't think it's going to be maybe make a splash and dash of fuel sort of distance, but they could be looking at second place. But could 49 Motorsports take a win here? That could be huge. When did they last pit? Let's take a quick look to see. And I'm thinking their last pit stop was when they last had a driver change, and that was lap 60. No, that can't be quite as such. Looking at these times, I don't see the last... No, we do. 87, so Castro could go to the end here.
Yeah, he can definitely go to the end now. My concern is with Hammer Down Racing still haven't come into the pits, and looking at how close the times in here between P2, 3, and 4, I think Hammer Down Racing, once they come into the pits and for that splash of gas, I think they are going to slide down all the way down to 4th place. So your provisional podium as it stands right now, yes, Hammer Down Racing is leading the GT class, but I think it's gonna be in 1st place 49 Motorsports, the Blackadder Motorsports, and spin and a contact there with Hammer Down Racing coming out of Moss Corner.
Certainly is at the moment, as we have a quick look at what's going on, as I'm trying to listen to what Hugo's trying to say to me at the same time, and I'm trying to pay attention to 15 things at once, so forgive me folks. Simatoki Esports out front, German Sim Racing in 2nd place, Unicorn Endurance, WR Racing up to 4th now here, as Torque Freak Sunset's damage has cost them a spot, Alvin. That's an advantage for them. Hammerdown have crashed, unfortunate incident for that team. Let's have a quick look back at what happened for Hammerdown. It was out of Moss Corner, Alvin.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I was talking about. Hammerdown just lost it a little bit, but they had contact with the number 67 Blackadder Motorsports, and well, that's pretty much all that happened. But it kind of looks like even with that damage, Hammerdown Racing still able to continue. So really interesting how this last portion of the race is starting to develop.
Certainly is, and well, the last portion of the race could have gone better for some people. An unforced incident there resulting in a bit of a clonk of the wall, but it's not horrendous damage. You should be able to get in there and get some service and get back on track and limp around perhaps, but it's certainly a blow to their confidence. And 49 Motorsports looking even perhaps more dominant at this point in time. They look like they could have a real chance of making this one work, as the gap to Hammerdown is there, but Hammerdown now not like I told them to this one. Blackadder Motorsports in the 3rd spot. They're close to 49 Motorsports, so we could have a battle and dying moments here for the GT lead.
We could, but I think Hammerdown Racing, they still have to come down into the pit for that splash of gas. So it's really not necessarily a battle that we will get to see for the GT lead. It may be temporary though, but you know, that's something that it's only gonna last for maybe a couple minutes. But one battle we do have here is the battle for P number 6 in the GT class between the number 8 SMT Motorsports and the number 292 Graphite Racing. Coming down into Moss Corner, it kind of looks like both of them are gonna be able to get into the race straight very cleanly. Let's see if the number 292 can get a run.
292, they're going to try and make something happen here with SMT, as the Audi a little bit quicker in the straight line in the draft, at least. Mercedes quicker on its own in the straight line, but the Audi not as good in the fast sweeping corners. They could be struggling, but looking to the inside, not going to get there close enough though for turn 8. We'll have to wait in line here. A bit better in turn 9 and 10 than the Mercedes cars. The tighter corners here playing to the Audi's strengths, especially when it comes to changing direction rapidly. Mercedes struggles with that switchback sequence there, Alvin.
Yeah, they do, but as it stands right now, the number 8 definitely has the upper hand. Not only does the fast corners in a way do benefit the number 8 and in the Mercedes, but also the fact that the whole track itself has a really high average top speed, and the Mercedes do have the horsepower to kind of keep that car in front, as they are trying to let that prototype, the overall leader, by the way, trying to let them go by. But you know, Rachel, talk about the race that the number 707 has done so far. They have done the race that they needed to do in here. Yes, they didn't qualify in pole position, true, but that was the least of their concerns. Their main concern was keeping all clean, and stands right now 12 minutes to go, Rachel. It looks like they got it.
Certainly does that. They have it indeed, Alvin, and it's exactly what they would have wanted here, to have this end this way. And it's been a race of patience for a number of these teams, and one that will pay off. Who'd have thought the 49 Motorsports car, by the way, with the damage it has on it, could possibly come away with a win here. They've had some luck and they've had some bad luck this season, but this could be a great way to end that. Work in progress, though, still sitting in the lead in your GTC field. That's an impressive one. And if I look at their timings when they last came down pit road, that looks like it was quite a long time ago, so we could be expecting them to pit. Could be one of the last pitters, actually, of that group. In fact, I'm seeing their last pit stop was on 69, so that is a very, very long time ago for that. Porsche, Simontok Esports, though, a fantastic run. German Sim Racing and Unicorn Endurance looking like your podium, should things continue the way they are. WR Racing sitting in 4th, and it's looking like a secure 4th for them as Unicorn can pass to lap them, as do the German Sim Racing 151. Going to try and filter through with the Blackadder Mercedes as well. Not in the right place. Oh, contact there. The Blackadder Mercedes and the Unicorn Endurance prototype, and another epidemic situation there of a prototype going for a gap that was blatantly not going to exist. And I'm not sure why they put the car in there in these dying days here when they could have had a second position.
Well, you know, it's just one of those that, you know, the battle is so close that you're trying to take every single advantage that you can, and well, kind of looks like, well, you know, things happen. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly, things do happen, as GTC leader has pitted, from what I'm being told. And I believe they are back in the lead, so that could be work in progress, back leading here, unless I'm being misled. That'll be a fantastic result for them, actually, at the moment, as that would be a great, great win for that team. Yeah, fantastic for those guys, as we look at any damage here. There could be... No, Unicorn Joe is still ahead there of German Sim Racing, so they hold on to second place somehow, even after that contact with the Mercedes from Blackadder Motorsports there. Work in progress racing red, Brian Herring doing a spectacular job in that car. They've kept themselves clean and out of trouble, and they could come away with a win here. The car's bent up a little bit at the front, but they're holding on. As, oh, 4X Racing dive down the inside. The prototype's getting very jumpy here at the end. Most of these guys not going to gain many spots here, Alvin, but the prototypes are getting incredibly angsty in the final moments.
Well, not many spots to gain, but definitely the 404 and the number 151 are definitely having a good battle here to see who can go into that P2 in this race. But going back to another battle that we have here, the number 8 and the number 292 in your GT class, they're still battling at it as we have one prototype trying to split them going into turn number 1.
We do indeed. Another prototype going for a dramatic move, and that's Berlin Simsport there, who are running in, I believe, the 6th spot. They're all running wide. SMT grabs some grasp, but hold on to it just about. Very, very close moment there as Graphite looking to try and make a move here and find some way to get through. Have a quick look back at what's going on for Unicorn Endurance. The gap being held over German Sim Racing's 151, so no problems there right now for second and third. 40 seconds back from your leaders, Simotok Esports, who are going to win this one with fantastic performance if they can hold on for the last 8 minutes of this race. Looking at about 6 laps as things go, Alvin. And we're in the dying seconds now of this event. People trying to make up those spots they need. Anyone who's not pitted now, we'll see them coming in very, very soon. 49 Motorsports, they are super close to Blackadder Motorsports in the 66.
And they will come in for sure, but you know that pretty much this race is not over yet. It's not over yet for many of the teams, especially in that battle for P2 in the prototype class between the 404 and the 151. Still going at it, racing really hard for that P number 2. Coming just into turn number 10, White's corner, coming down to do another lap. German Sim Racing trying to get a good run here. It kind of doesn't look like they may catch traffic right now, but I think that once they get into Quebec corner, perhaps Unicorn Endurance may catch the slower traffic just at the wrong time, and we may see the 151 taking advantage of it.
We could, in fact, see the 151 taking advantage of that positioning as Blackadder's 66 car filters through traffic in their pursuit of the 49 Motorsports machine, piloted by Dexter Castro. It's close, but it could not be far enough apart for him. Dexter Castro would like this gap to be much, much bigger. Blackadder trying to change that one. The times last time by 120.269 for Dexter Castro and a 121 for Matthias Magnussen in Blackadder's car. So the gap is growing, which is what he wants to see. Work in progress red, 23.1 for Brian Herring. Blackadder's 69 car, Carly Janssen, 122. So a little faster, but the gap is fairly significant there. So that's looking like they're going to hold it as P2 overall. Unicorn Endurance and German Sim Racing neck and neck here, getting past the two battling GT cars of SMT and Graphite. 151 had gotten past, but they've lost that position and been repassed by Unicorn. We're going to replay for you of that in just a second, but Unicorn trying to hold on now as German Sim Racing really putting the coal in here and pushing this one hard, Alvin.
Yeah, they are definitely pushing hard. It kind of looks like the number 151 got a great run there, coming out of just at the end of the administrated. As they made their way into turn number 8 and turn number 9, will try to give a little bit more room to the number 292 and the number 8, run a little wide into the grass, and that's what allowed the number 404 to go back into P number 2. Now let's see if the 151 can get another good run here and down the race rate, but it kind of looks like this time the answer will be no. It looks like the number 404 will be able to keep P number 2 for one more lap.
Absolutely, and well, it's going to be interesting to see who can catch you in his final moments here. The time is definitely running out, Alvin, and second and third is close in prototype. First and second, not quite that close in your GT field, although it's getting closer. Look at this. Blackadder 66 car catching up to the back of 49 Motorsports. A 19.9 for Matthias Magnussen last time. 23 for Da Castro. He was caught in traffic. He's lost a lot of time here. You know what the biggest motivation for a driver is, Alvin, when you're trying to catch another car? When they're in visual range and you can see them. It makes you push that little bit harder. And right now, Magnussen pouring on everything he has to get after 49 Motorsports.
And not only when you have it in visual range, Rachel, but when you know, when pretty much when we were around 55 minutes to go, they knew that they had this championship clinch, the number 66. So now they really don't have to be careful. There's no patience. Now it's go for the win, go for it now.
It certainly is. Go for it and go for it now. Alvin Nieves with the comment of the century. This is exactly what he's doing, and he will try everything he possibly can. This is a battle for the class win here in GT, and they want it badly. It's pretty much over in GTC. Work in Progress Racing are about to complete their work with a victory in the final round here if they can hold on for 4 more minutes. Unicorn Endurance, well, they're holding the gap over German Sim Racing, who've dropped back a little bit. That was looking good, but Black Adam Motorsport 66 car. It's Magnussen versus Castro in the run down to the final moments. Castro watching that clock, watching the lap counter tick by. We're looking at about 3 laps here now remaining. The gap is picking up. Castro 120.1. He responded last time by, and 120.5 for Magnussen. The gap just opened up a little bit. And there's a couple of prototypes filtering through, which will cost him time here, depending on where they meet this traffic, Alvin.
They do, but it kind of seems like definitely Dexter Castro is the faster car from these two, from the number 49 and the number 66. Kind of looked like the last lap around, definitely Dexter Castro showing that definitely a little bit faster, just under 2 seconds faster than the number 66 last lap around. But you know, I think that it has to do more with traffic more than anything else.
Last time it was 4 tenths, Alvin, last time by, so the gap is just eking out.
It certainly is, and well, almost just down to 3 minutes to go. So I think Dexter Castro, as long as he can keep that car, I think he has just over 3 laps to go around this track, and he should have this race in his pocket.
Of course it does. Italian battles where Symmetric Esport are, and they're coming through the final corner now, and it's looking like a championship and a victory for Symmetric Esports. David Saranzo here, and Julien Riblieu in that car. What a performance they've had today. They've kept this car clean. It has been a masterclass in patience and strategy from those guys. Didn't pit under the first 2 cautions, Alvin, let's not forget. They stayed out. They pitted under green flag conditions later than anybody else, and it paid off in droves.
It absolutely paid off, and you know, when we think about the strategy that they had to come up into this race, tighten points with the number 59 Fusion Racing. Their main mission was finish ahead of Fusion Racing no matter what, and early incidents for the number 59 made sure that that first milestone for the number 707 was done. Then it came a point in the middle of the race that with all the pit strategy and all full course cautions, number 59 was able to cut up back to number 707, but then we saw the 59 get caught again in another incident, and that is what really spelled the end of the championship run for the number 59 and really handed it over to the 707.
It certainly is. And look at this, the 49, he's lost some time in lap traffic, and look at this, here comes the 66 car. Magnussen is gaining, he has the draft. It's going to be an inside line defensive run now by Castro. He has to defend. Looking to the outside, Matthias Magnussen will go for the line. He didn't quite have it there, he backs out. Going to run through turn 8, turn 9, and turn 10. What will the times be this time by? Watching those clocks, it's very close here. Magnussen has a good run. Can he hold it? He wiggles a bit coming through 10. Won't quite have the legs to make it happen, but he could go for a dive at some point, depending on how this goes. Dexter Castro has to give this everything now. We're in the final moments here. 30 seconds left on the play clock. Where is Symmetalk? Symmetalk are going to be ending the race this time, I think. This could be the final lap. 49 just ahead here of Blackadder. Next lap will be the final lap. White flag this time by for your field. We'll have one more lap. One more lap for Dexter Castro to keep that Mercedes behind him. The Mercedes got a good run out of the corner. Can Dexter Castro hold him off here, heading down the Andretti straight in the draft? Blackadder Motorsport 66 car will have a good run here. Can he look to the outside? Can he sling it around the outside of 8 and have the inside for 9? He's got a good overlap. Now's the time to try and make the outside work. He doesn't have the run. He has to back out. Symmetalk Esports on the final lap here for their championship hopes. This could be it. One more time around for Dexter Castro and Blackadder Motorsports and Matthias Magnussen. Mercedes versus BMW here in the GT field. This is going to be a very close finish here. Alvin, I have no idea who will win this.
It is absolutely, and this battle for the GT lead is really heating up, but you know, we gotta turn our attention just a little bit because 707 coming into the SS to end this race. Rachel, what a race for them.
Certainly has been. Their competitors have fallen to the wayside here, and from a fantastic run, qualified in 3rd place. And Wiggle there in the final corners, nearly throwing it away. Simitok Esports will come home with the win in Mosport and the championship in the DGFX Endurance Series here. Fortuna Motorsports and Dexter Castro, Blackadder Motorsports and Matthias Magnussen. Porsche leader coming to the line here. Work in progress red through the final sequence of corners. And it's going to be victory for Work in progress red. And Brian Herring behind the wheel will come across the line, taking victory in your GTC class, and back now to your GT lead. Dexter Castro is holding on by his fingertips here. Could this be a chance for Matthias Magnussen? Not going to be enough. Magnussen will come home 2nd. Castro holds on for the victory in your GT field. What a race we've seen here today, Alvin. Your final thoughts on this one before we go to the final commercial break.
Rachel, this was the race that I was expecting it to be, with many championships on the line. Yeah, some championships were decided after a couple of incidents happened, but that didn't deter the spirit of anybody in here today. Congratulations to the winners in here today. This was a fantastic race.
Certainly was, folks, and we'll go through your final race running order. Now everyone's come across the line. Simitok Esports taking the win and the championship in your prototype field. Unicorn Endurance holds on for 2nd place. German Sim Racing, last car on your podium for the prototype field, with WR Racing and Torque Freak Sunset rounding out your top 5. Down in your GT field, Fortuna Motorsports, Dexter Castro behind the wheel held on for victory in the final seconds, narrowly beating out Blackadder Motorsports and Matthias Magnussen. 3rd place to War Dogs GT with a quiet run to a 3rd place. Hammerdown Racing GT in the 4th spot with German Sim Racing's 305 in 5th. Work in Progress Racing Red takes the flag in your GTC field with Blackadder Motorsports 69 in 2nd. SimRC Mellon comes home in 3rd with Berlin Sim Sports 87 and Fusion Racing Black in 5th. Well, folks, we're going to step aside for just a second. Do not go anywhere. When we come back, post-race interviews with some very happy people.
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Beginner for Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda Simsport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iracing.com/live.
Welcome back to post-race coverage here of the DGFX Racing Endurance Series here on RacespotTV and iRacing Live. Rich Whiteford bringing you the post-race interviews. Well, first up, we have actually got Dmitry Linev here from the Unicorn Endurance team. Second place overall in your prototype field, and a great result from them. Dmitry, you guys held on at the end there for a fantastic second place. How does it feel?
Yeah, that was great. Finally we had a clean race without any incidents, any big incidents at least, and that was a really tough finish.
It certainly was indeed. Your car managed to hold on just over the German Sim Racing 151. Both of you had some hairy moments.
Yeah, we did. Actually, I think they used high downforce. Medium downforce, and we had high downforce, so they were faster at the straight, and we were faster in the corners, and it was really nice battle.
It certainly was. Any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to for your team?
Yes, Race Engineering Center, the software for telemetry analysis.
Well, a fantastic result from you and your teammate, of course, in this one, Vladimir Machevsky. Thank you very much for joining us, Dmitry Linev. Unicorn Endurance, second place in your prototype field.
Yeah.
Next up, we have, I believe, one of the drivers from the German sim racing team, Gerrit Winter. Gerrit, third place, fantastic podium for you guys. And if I'm looking at my standings correctly, I think fourth place in the points.
Yes, an intense fight, about nearly 2 hours with Unicorn. Was very we use medium downforce package, so we were faster on the straights. But in the last laps, Dmitry Linev was very fast. No chance for me, but P3 is a great result, and P4 in the championship, very fantastic. We are very lucky. Jens, which drove the first 4 races with me. Today he has no time, and Alexander Bratz, was my teammate today. yesterday our first training. He drove a very, very very good stint in the middle. The cautions, much cautions. So second two-stop strategy was great.
It certainly sounds like it was a great one, of course. And folks, this is what a driver sounds like when he's just climbed out of the car seconds ago after an intense battle for a podium spot. Gerrit Winter, thank you so much for joining us here. Any sponsors you'd like to give a quick shout out to?
I thanks Alexander Bratz, my other teammates at GermanSimRacing.de. The race control was a great season, fall season. I come back, I think.
Well, it certainly was. Thank you so much for joining us, Gerrit Winter from the German SimRacing.de 151 prototype. Okay, well, next up we have with us two of the guys from the Simatok Esports team, David Soranzo and one of the other team members, Jason Marshall. Guys, you took the race win and the championship when everyone else fell about you. How does it feel?
We feel very happy, of course. It was a tough race. We knew that it's going to be tough here on this track. We had a great start with Julien, who make a very good job. Then we were a little bit unlucky with the full course yellow, and at the end it turns again, like it was all the season. Sometimes it was positive for us, sometimes negative, but at the end it's the win, so we are very happy.
Fantastic result for you guys there in the end, and well, congratulations to you and the whole team. Sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Thank you very much. Yes, we would like to thank our partners, Simatok, who supports us since the beginning, and the French web hoster LWS. And also we would like to congratulate all the teams, and especially Fusion and Samba, because it was very tight till the end. And maybe Jason would like to add something.
Well, congratulations to you guys. Jason, thoughts?
No. Just a nice championship and a great fight with Fusion and Terry, all championship.
Well, it certainly was a fantastic result there in the end for you guys, and well, the championship has been taken. You went into this race tied. You did it with the race win. Fantastic result from Simatok Esport, the prototype champions for 2017 season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle, and all the DJFX team for his great organization.
And your broadcast.
And the broadcast, yes. Thank you. Bye bye. See you.
Thank you very much. And yes, we'll see you soon, guys, from Simatok Esport, the champions. We're joined now by two of the guys from Blackadder Motorsports GT, Dexter Castro from 49 Motorsports here, and I don't think we have anyone from War Dogs here, but as it stands, we'll come to you first, Dexter. What a race. You just held on by your fingertips there in the end. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you. It got a lot closer than we wanted it to. At the last caution, we felt we chose the right strategy, and we thought we were going to be coming out 10 or 15 seconds ahead at the end of the pit cycle. So I was just taking it easy, taking care of the tires and the car, and I guess I took it too easy, because when it all came back together, we were only 2 seconds ahead. So there was a sudden panic. Had to get up on pace, and then just caught a Porsche in an awkward place, and thought I could make the pass. The pass I'd done a lot, but then the door closed and I clipped the grass and just barely hung on to it, which led them right back to my tail.
It certainly did, and a close run there leaves you guys finishing the win at Canada, but second place in the championship points. Are you guys happy?
Yeah, we're happy. It's it's a little frustrating to come out of a season with 2 wins, a second place, and 2 DNFs. It's just Nürburgring was, well, what happened at Nürburgring, complete failure of rule following, but what can you do? Spa was probably half my fault, half a wall that decided to reach out and throw me into a barrel roll. But without either of those, I feel like we would have been in contention. So, I mean, you can't feel too bad about how we performed. It's just disappointing not to really have a shot at the championship at the end.
Certainly was, but in the end, second place, a fantastic result, and the end of the season with the win. Sponsors, would you like to give a quick shout out to?
Not sponsors, but definitely the whole team is always working together, trying to build setups, trying to make each other less slow, various things like that. And then of course our friends over at GSRC for letting us crash in their TeamSpeak server. So thanks, guys.
There you go, Dexter Castro from 49 Motorsports, the winners here in Canada, and second place overall. Next up, we have the guys from Blackadder Motorsports here, Mark Torres and Matthias Magnussen, the 66 car. Guys, second place and the championship.
Yeah, we're definitely very excited. Didn't enter the season thinking that we would win, but we're hoping for top 3, and things just kept coming together, and our pace kept improving throughout the season. We put a ton of preparation in. Matthias and I were just talking about how, just so happy how our work paid off.
Yeah, we worked really hard for this. We practiced weeks for all this, and huge thanks to all the guys at Blackadder who helped out with testing the setups, and another big huge thanks to John, the crew chief, for helping up with the strategy and spotting.
There you go, a fantastic result from the Blackadder Motorsports 66 car, guys. A great result in the end, and a championship that was so valuable. Any sponsors you guys would like to thank?
The whole team, Blackadder, like Matthias said, John for sure, and Matthias did awesome building sets, and we were just testing for him the whole time. So Matthias, thank you, and congrats to 49 Motorsports.
Yeah, congrats, Dexter.
Thank you very much for joining us, guys. I thought we were going to be joined now by the guys from Work in Progress Racing, who had come for an interview, but appear to have left. So we will chance a quick word with Carl Jansen from the 69 car from Blackadder Motorsports. If I look for them, they came home today in second place in your GTC field. Carl, tough race.
Well, yeah, it was a tough race. We had a good start actually. We were leading, and then after like 45 minutes around there, my Oculus Rift completely died. I have no clue what happened, but it just died. So we had to tow, and then my teammate got into the car and made a huge job getting back up to second place while I was setting up triple screens. And then we ran to the end and got a second place for them, which I'm very happy about.
Well, fantastic, of course. So we just heard from your teammates in the sister car in the GT field that took the championship. You guys in the GTC field, I believe, came home today after the points have all been tallied in the second place in the points. So congratulations there.
Thank you. That was but it's been a very good season for us. I mean, we had a bit of problems, but and I think we got a lot of points back on these last 2 races now, with 2 second places.
Well, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me, Carl Jansen from the Blackadder Motorsports team.
Thank you.
Finally, last but not least, we're here talking to Kyle Burney from the DGFX Racing Endurance Series. Kyle, this has been a fantastic season. There's been some great racing, some hair-raising moments, some nail-biting cautions flying at the wrong and right times. This has been a great season.
Yeah, it has. It's been a huge improvement from last year. That's definitely for sure. We have bigger grids. bigger everything. So it was definitely a big improvement, and a lot of the people that were in the league had a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely fantastic, of course. The season and your sponsors, of course, Sim Experience, have hopefully had some great exposure here. The drivers have done a fantastic job on track and provided incredible entertainment for all the fans at home. And hopefully they're all revved up for the next season.
Yeah, Sim Experience did a really good job. They helped us out a lot. We're looking to continue the partnership with them into the fall. Everything was great. Racing got better as the season went on, as it usually does with league races. But from what we've heard from most of the competitors here, they absolutely loved it. They can't wait for the fall to start. They're already asking for information that we don't have yet. So they're already itching at their heels and everything, trying to get back out on track and want to continue racing. So it's been great.
Fantastic. Of course, don't forget, folks, if you're interested in the AccuForce and SimVibe products provided by Sim Experience, you can check those out on simexperience.com. But thank you very much for joining us, Kyle. It's been a fantastic season. Everybody here at RacespotTV has absolutely loved being involved with this one. So thank you very much. And folks, it has been an incredible season here for the DGFX Racing Endurance Championship powered by Sim Experience. I have loved every moment of this. Hopefully you at home have too. I've been Rachel Whiteford. I've been joined tonight by Alvin Nieves, and as always, our producer with the most, Hugo Louise. Thanks for joining us, and good night.